Hello, everybody. This is Jonathan Lack, host of the Weekly Stuff podcast. And before Sean Chapman and I started doing this show regularly in 2012, we actually had a different podcast called The Monthly 10, which was an extension of my blog at the Denver Post's Your Hub at the time. Now, this was way back when we were still in high school, and we're still very much learning the ropes of podcasting and, life. These episodes are not available online anymore, and as long as I am alive, most of them will not be. But there are a couple that connect to various topics we've covered over the years, like Doctor Who, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ones we've even referenced a couple of times on the show, especially in Doctor Who conversations. And I am taking those episodes out of the vault, dusting them off, and presenting them here on our YouTube channel to fill out and complete some of our playlists. The audio quality isn't great. The people you're about to listen to are not experts about anything at all, but it might be worth some fun. You'll see. This is the Weekly Stuff from the Vault. Hello and welcome to the Monthly 10 with your hosts, Jonathan Lack and Sean Chapman. This is for December 10th. 2011, and we are talking about Christmas and Doctor Who. So if you like these things, I think you're going to like this podcast. All right, I think that was our best introduction ever.
I think we should do a top 10 list of our introductions and determine it that way.
Okay, all right. Well, we do like top 10 lists here, but yet again, we're breaking our top 10 list structure because we're bored with it.
Do you think we should just rename the podcast to the Monthly Stuff? The Monthly Stuff Podcast?
That would not be a bad idea.
Hello and welcome to the Monthly Stuff Podcast with your host, Sean Chapman, and special guest star,
Jonathan Lack from JonathanLack.com.
Okay, here on the Monthly Stuff, we're going to talk about stuff.
Yes, we are going to talk about stuff, and the stuff that pertains to this month is Christmas, because it's December. Why we're talking about Doctor Who, though, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yeah, why are we talking about Doctor Who?
Well, it's Christmas, and Doctor Who has a sort of Christmas thing attached to it that we're going to talk about, but really quickly, how we got to the idea of this topic is that, our initial idea was, okay, it's December, it's Christmas, we'll do a top 10 list of Christmas movies or something. We had a joke where we would do top 10 Christmas movies, and it would just all be versions of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. That was my joke.
That would not be tough, because I think there are like 200 filmed versions for it or something.
We should have just gone with the most obscure ones, too.
Yeah.
Like
Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Le Carol Christmas. From France. The Silence Artsy Christmas Carol.
Yes. No, so we thought we had that idea, and but it just seemed a little redundant, because if you go over to www.jonathanlack.com throughout this month of December, I'm running a feature called the 25 Reviews of Christmas. It's a review of a Christmas movie, TV show, TV special, album, something like that, every day for 25 days. And today, this is the 10th, so you can go over there and read my review of Mickey's Christmas Carol, which at the time of this recording I have yet to write.
No,
I'm
so
going to write that.
It might not be up. Ever.
Well,
it might never, ever be up.
I'll assumedly edit this part out if it's not up.
What if you die?
I don't think this podcast is going up if I die, Sean.
I'll put it up.
Thank you. I'm glad to know you will continue our work.
I'll play it at the funeral.
Okay.
It'll be like your dirge.
That'll be good. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of this podcast. And, this is our last podcast of the year. High five. We made it. I think we've had like 20 podcasts at this point. Did you?
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I know. What were we talking about? Okay, Christmas, yes. So I have these 25 reviews of Christmas going up on the site, and I thought doing that on the podcast as well, talking about top 10 Christmas movies or whatever, would be redundant. So I'm going to talk about something I'm not writing about, or we're going to talk about it, and that is Doctor Who. And
Doctor Who?
I'm not writing about it currently.
Doctor Who!
I like that that's given us a new running gag. Anyway, and Doctor Who has a pretty...
Doctor Who!
Doctor Who has a... You done?
Maybe.
Doctor Who...
Continue.
A long-running British sci-fi show about a doctor in space.
What's his name?
Kian.
Okay.
All right.
And anyway, this show has a very special tradition that began with the modern series in 2005, and that is the Christmas special. And they air a hour-long Christmas special every year. And it's not like, a Christmas special variety hour a la Star Wars, thank God.
If only we had a Boba Fett cartoon with the Doctor in it, where there was a magic talisman and people randomly fell asleep and Chewie and Han were having kinky sex while the Doctor was doing something with the sonic screwdriver. I don't know what.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to our discussion of the Boba Fett cartoon from the Christmas special, go back and listen to that.
Actually, Captain Jack could fit into that very well with the whole Chewie and Han thing.
Yeah, Captain Jack would fit in like a little disturbingly well. Anyway, that's Captain Jack Harkness. Anyway.
Not Captain Jack Sparrow.
No, he would fit in fairly well, too, now that I think about it. Okay, Doctor Who has a Christmas special every year. They're good, they're awesome, it's fun to watch Doctor Who on Christmas, even though we didn't get them on Christmas until last year. But it was pretty cool to watch it on Christmas Day last year. And I assume British people have enjoyed that for 6 years now.
Do British people celebrate Christmas? I think that should be an American thing.
All right, anyway, so we are going to talk about all the Doctor Who Christmas specials, all 6 of them. And we're not doing a top 10 list, obviously. We only have 6 items. We're not ranking them. We're going chronologically, although we are sort of building up to the best one. Which,
okay.
Anyway. So we're talking about all of them?
Kind of biased there, aren't you?
Oh, well, I like good TV.
The opinions of Jonathan Lack do not reflect the opinions of the Monthly Stuff
I know you agree with me on this.
But you can't say it on the podcast. It's legal shit.
We're going to talk about it on the podcast.
You know how every time you put in a DVD, it's like the commentaries and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, that's what you're
Also,
doing.
FBI warning. That's all you need to know.
All right. Well, first, before we get started with that, I want to talk really quickly about the recently released, I think it came out last Tuesday, so... Oh, well, no, that's when we're recording. So, like 3 weeks ago when you finally hear this, we're recording this a little bit
At some
early.
point in time and space.
Yeah, it was end of November. They released the Doctor Who Complete 6 series set on DVD and Blu-ray in the United States. And,
That's what they called it, the 6 series. I thought it was the 32nd season.
Yes, the 32nd season. They labeled it on the box as Complete 6 series. A little disappointing. Oh, well.
You can just fix that with some duct tape and a Sharpie.
Okay, that would be fun. Anyway, it's, if you owned the complete 5th series set from last year on DVD or Blu-ray, the packaging is actually completely identical. Different pictures in spots, obviously. But
so it's not completely identical.
It was the same kind of packaging. You've got these... It's actually... This is my favorite packaging for a TV show ever. I know, Sean, you may disagree because yours fell apart.
Yeah, mine fell apart immediately upon getting it as well.
Mine have not. They've been... And I just like that you can open it and there's these blue trays and they just move like pages in a book and it's very easy to get to your disc when it's intact.
See, that would be perfect if it didn't...
Yeah.
Like, the blue trays didn't fall out of everything else, so then you're left with, like... a mash of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyway.
It's appropriate for the Monthly Stuff podcast.
Yes. So anyway, it's 6 discs again, but now a 5th series did not have a Christmas special attached to it. So this one does. So you get the Christmas Carol, and then you jump into the 6th series. It's got all 13 episodes. The set is amazingly comprehensive. You also get both of the comic relief sketches that preceded the 6th series. And if you have not seen those, buy this set for those alone.
Or go on YouTube.
Yeah, that too. But they're really fucking good.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think you should buy the set just for those.
Okay. Yeah, they are called Space and Time. They're very good. Look them up on YouTube if you haven't seen them. Or if you own the set, they're on disc 1 in special features. Go find them. They should probably be chronologically on like disc 2 because they came after the Christmas special, but that's okay. I'm not going to bitch about that.
I don't think it really has anything to do with like canon.
Okay.
I think.
Anyway, they got a bunch of audio commentaries. On the Blu-ray, they've got video commentaries.
How many video commentaries are there? There are only like
3 or 4, yeah. They're on, I can actually look
at Matt Smith on any of them? Because he wasn't on the 5th series, and that was just...
He wasn't? That's too bad. We get commentary on The Impossible Astronaut. You get commentary on The Doctor's Wife and The Rebel Flesh.
Well, good thing you get The Doctor's Wife.
I don't know why you don't get it on part 2 of The Rebel Flesh. That's kind of weird. Anyway, you get it on A Good Man Goes to War, and you get it on The Wedding of River Song. Maybe that's where they, defend themselves. Anyway.
Maybe they'll directly defend themselves from my scathing review.
Yeah, they heard our podcast in time to get this DVD to production and everything. Anyway, very good set. It's comprehensive. Like I said, it's got all the prequels that aired, all the Monster File bonus features that were on iTunes and other places, trailers for the set, all the Doctor Who Confidentials. Most of them are cut down versions, but you get the good stuff because Doctor Who Confidential was a little too long, I would say, in most cases. But you do get the full confidential for the Christmas Carol, so that's kind of neat. You get 5. I have not watched these, but they're called Night and the Doctor scenes, and they're brand new, produced for this set. We had some of those on the 5th series set as well.
They're like Dr. and Amy and the TARDIS, those things.
And those are always cute, I think. They're funny. So anyway, nice set. I've just watched the Christmas Carol, sampled some other scenes, and the picture quality on the Blu-ray, at least, is a gorgeous Doctor Who. As we talked about on the 6 series podcast we did, this was a very cinematic year.
Yep.
And the visuals, I mean, they were shooting on HD video, and it looks gorgeous. And it sounds phenomenal, too, if you have a good sound system to hear them on. So, good set. That's my little mini review of it.
Okay.
Anything to add?
I don't have it yet. I'll probably get it for Christmas.
The one thing, I don't like the box art. This is the image, the promotional image of it's just Matt Smith on the road holding the sonic screwdriver with his back turned.
Yeah.
I think it looks really boring. That's all. In comparison to last year's image, which was...
What was last year's image?
It was that promotional picture of...
the Doctor... in the space-time vortex. It's like, it's wacky adventures in time and space.
Yeah, it's the Doctor and Amy flying through time and space. And it was also, I think, a holographic cover.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Because they thought it was still in the 90s and early 2000s. They thought it was 2001.
People are doing those holographic covers all the time now, and I don't get it. They're not cool, really.
Yeah, I
don't get it. Oh well. They had a lot of other good images this series. I mean, one thing you should know about this set is that they've released all the content of this set, or much of the content, in like a million different forms now.
Yeah.
Because of the stupid way they released the 6th season.
Where they split it up into part 1 and
part
2.
So you could have bought it on DVD or Blu-ray as part 1 with the first 7 episodes, then bought part 2 with the next 6, and these had no bonus features, just the episodes. The Christmas Carol was released on its own. They were split into 2 seasons on iTunes. So you could buy these in a lot of different ways. Just get the 6 series set. It's got everything the others had and a whole hell of a lot more. Even though it's got my least favorite box.
Wait, hold on. Go. I like how at the very bottom it says in little tiny font, as seen on BBC America.
Yeah, I know.
It's like just to sell it to the Americans in the audience. Yeah. It's like,
don't worry, this was on American TV too.
Yeah, I mean we put in a lot of commercials and stuff that weren't supposed to be in there, but it was on BBC America. I guess that's a selling point.
Yes, and actually, good thing this is not how it was seen on BBC America. They don't cut to black in the middle of the episode.
It's just like in the middle of lines of dialogue. It's like, black, come back.
Yeah, that was fun in its own way. Although I only had the stamina to do that for about 3 weeks, and then I was done watching it on BBC America.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, that's the complete 6 series set.
As seen on BBC America.
Yes.
And the Monthly Stuff podcast.
Yes. Let's go back to an episode. We're going to talk through the Christmas specials. Let's go back to one that was not seen on BBC America, at least not until recently.
Oh, you mean back in the 60s at the end of the Daleks Master Plan when the first Doctor broke the fourth wall and said directly to the audience, Merry Christmas? That one?
Oh, I haven't heard about that. Tell us about this, Sean.
At the end of Daleks Master Plan, the epic 12-part serial in the 3rd season of the first Doctor's run, the last episode aired on Christmas, and he looked directly into the camera and it was like, Merry Christmas, and everyone else was like, Merry Christmas, and everyone had a Merry Christmas. The end.
Wow, that's neat. So that was like the first Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yeah, it was like 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing to do with anything on the episode.
At all?
Really jarring and weird.
Did they have a Dalek go, Merry Christmas?
No, that would have been really funny if they had.
The Daleks are in Santa hats, and they're colored red and green.
Well, it was black and white, so okay. I don't think that...
Oh, that's true.
They would have looked like the new Daleks from the 31st season.
Yes, all right. No, we're talking about the Christmas specials from the modern series. Okay. And this first one starred David Tennant, but really quickly, Sean, I wanted to ask you, are you sad we didn't get a Christopher Eccleston Christmas special?
I'm sad about a lot of things involving Christopher Eccleston and what we did not get.
I know, but with his demeanor and his sort of sarcastic edge and his dark sort of flavor of the Doctor... That would have been such a funny match for a Christmas episode, because he wouldn't have, I think, the enthusiasm for it.
He does meet Charles Dickens, and it's snowing. That's Christmassy enough.
I guess so. But I was trying to imagine, like, Christopher Eccleston in A Christmas Carol or something, and it would just be so wrong, but it would be so funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, poor Christopher Eccleston.
I think he's doing fine.
Okay.
I think poor us who didn't get to see more of the Ninth Doctor.
Yeah. Actually, not poor him. He said he didn't like the show. Anyway. All right. This is...
Somber tone here at the Monthly Stuff podcast.
But happy because this is actually a really good episode we're about to talk about. This is from 2005, The Christmas Invasion. Not only was this the Christmas special for 2005, coming off the first series of the Revive series, or season 27?
Yeah.
27? Okay. So coming off of season 27, And it was the first episode with David Tennant.
Yay!
Yay! And I think this is a very effective introduction to the Ted Doctor, as I hear on YouTube comments. The Doctor many people think is the only one who ever existed.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
But David
people are ignorant.
Yes, David Tennant is awesome. Really quick, recapping the plot. The Christmas invasion happens on Christmas Day. The Doctor arrives arrives at Rose Tyler's flat, as it says on YouTube, where Jackie and Mickey carry him inside. The Doctor is sort of suffering from his post-regeneration effects. David Tennant, his Doctor had a very rough regeneration, as we see here.
Well, he mostly just took naps and then got up and yelled a little bit and he took more naps.
That's a good plot summary of the episode.
Yeah.
That's the Doctor's arc in the episode. So for most of the episode, we get Rose crying.
Yeah.
And being, sort of annoying, but there's these awesome aliens called the Sycorax who are invading Earth. And Prime Minister Harriet Jones is trying to figure out what to do about them. And then finally, the Doctor wakes up and saves the day and is generally awesome. And here's the thing about the Christmas invasion to me, is that most of it is really fucking annoying. Like, the first 40 minutes are annoying. Because you're like... You've been waiting months to see, David Tennant. Mm-hmm. This is awesome. We're going to have a new Doctor. He shows up for 5 minutes at the beginning. You're like, this guy is cool. And then he's gone. And you get Rose crying about him for a long time. And Harriet Jones is fairly funny to an extent. But
they run that running joke into the ground
pretty fast, yeah.
I mean, they ran that running joke into the ground the first time they made that running joke.
Yeah, I know. I think they redeem it when she dies in season 4. Because that's a funny joke with the Daleks.
But it's supposed to be a sad scene, so it ruins the scene.
I know, but I didn't care about her anyway. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So most of the Christmas invasion is sort of annoying, but I've always loved it because they keep the reveal, basically, of the Doctor away from you so long that when it finally happens, it is so awesome, to me at least. Like, he climbs out of the TARDIS in his pajamas, and, he goes and kicks Sycorax's ass.
Gets his hand cut off.
Yeah, and then regenerates it, and it's cool. And he has a sword fight, and then he goes in and picks out his costume from the TARDIS wardrobe, which is a cool scene. And it's just, the way they build up to his reveal is very good. Even though much of it is not entertaining, it serves a purpose in terms of holding off the reveal of David Tennant.
Yeah, I do remember most of the episode being just waiting around looking at some Santa robots.
Yeah.
Because Sycorax have Santa robots.
Oh, I forgot about that, the Santa robots. The, what are they called, the Scuttlefish or something?
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah.
I just call them Santa robots.
Okay.
That's what they are.
Yeah,
They're
Santa.
robots, and they look like Santa.
Yes.
Santa robots.
Santa robots. Okay.
Don't sing a song.
All right.
This is not the musical Monthly Stuff podcast.
All right. We'll do that eventually. We'll get Joss Whedon to write it. Yeah. See if Sarah Michelle Gellar will guest star. I hear she's probably going to be out of work soon. Anyway.
Okay, then.
What are your other thoughts on the Christmas invasion, Sean?
I think that it takes place on Christmas, and this kind of an invasion. There's the whole thing with, like, the blood stuff, and people are going to jump off of buildings. I thought that was kind of a cool premise, but they didn't. I think it could have been, like, a premise that was actually more, like, fleshed out in an episode, and then it kind of just, like, goes away when the Doctor comes in. Like
many Russell T. Davies episodes, I think it's probably too big.
Yeah.
He probably goes too big for his own good. But, and this is a unique Christmas special because it's not like the other ones we're going to talk about where it was just a fun sort of adventure. This had the big weight on it of we're revealing the new Doctor. And so that's how I usually think about it. And I think in those terms it does that pretty spectacularly.
Yeah, it introduces David Tennant very well.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it makes you very excited to see what this guy's going to be doing. So in that sense it works very well. As a Christmas special... Maybe it does have something to do with Christmas in that it's set on Christmas, so there's that.
And I was about to say it snows a little bit, but that's not actually true. It's not snow; it's the ashes of the destroyed Sycorax spaceship. So that's
that is one of the darker jokes they've ever made. I think.
Yeah, I think that is one of the I think that might be the darkest joke. Like that is like because when you think about it, it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
What happens is that Harriet Jones has this sort of system with Torchwood where she can blow up the Sycorax ship, and she does so, and then it starts snowing, and Rose is like, this is so awesome, and the Doctor reminds her, actually, this isn't snow, this is the ashes of the, millions of people we just killed. And they're bathing in the skin of their enemies. Oh my god.
This is like the only way it would have been even worse if like Mickey was like sticking his tongue out trying to catch them, and then when he hears that he like spits it out. That would have been like how you could like take it to the next level.
They really should have had Jack Harkness like making snow angels at Torchwood.
It's like, Jack, those are the ashes of all those aliens we killed. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. All right.
I want to make my goddamn ash angel.
I guess the Christmas Invasion was pretty good.
Yeah.
For that alone.
And I do really like the scene where the Doctor gets his outfit. That's one of the better ones where he gets his outfit and like picks it out.
Yeah.
And I've always heard that every single one of the old Doctor's outfits is somewhere in that dressing room. I don't think that's true. I spotted Colin Baker's. I spotted the fur coat from the second Doctor. And a lot of people identify with the second Doctor. Even only wore it like twice.
Tom Baker's is in there. He does try the scarf on.
Yeah, I did see the scarf. I don't think the whole. There's definitely the scarf, the hat, and the coat.
Yeah.
But not. I don't think I could find the third Doctor's.
I don't think the leather jacket is in there.
Probably isn't. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, he sort of died in that thing. I don't think they would have time to go, hang it up.
I mean, there might be a leather jacket somewhere in there.
He may have had an extra, that's true. So, but it also, I like there in that scene, they play the Song for 10, which is a nice song. It's better on the soundtrack where they re-recorded it with someone who could actually sing. But, it's a good song. Anyway, if you have the Season 1 soundtrack, I recommend it.
Season 1 and 2 soundtrack.
Yeah, I forget about that. And I love that it's the Season 1 and 2, and they just have David Tennant and Rose on there. It's like, nah, fuck Christopher Eccleston. Anyway, so that is the Christmas Invasion. That was 2005. Flash forward 1 year. Actually, set this up for us, Sean. The end of the second season, we've had a really dramatic scene.
Where Doomsday.
Yes, Rose and the Doctor are saying goodbye. It's tear-filled. It's one of the more dramatic scenes they've done since the show came back. Everyone's sad. We've lost the companion. And then...
Donna Noble. Just like out of nowhere, Catherine Tate just like is plopped in the TARDIS in a wedding dress, and it's like the Doctor's like, what? What?
and then we cut to credits.
Yeah. It's just kind of, and that, because that happens on the next one too.
Yeah.
It's kind of a running thing where the season finale, it's like, it's really emotional. It's like, oh my god. I mean, I never really bought the relationship between the Doctor and Rose, but a lot of the other people did, and it's like, that's so sad. She's trapped on an alternate universe. What, Catherine Tate? What? Credits!
So yes, Catherine Tate appears in the TARDIS in a wedding dress, and she's spunky, that's her thing. And the Doctor is like going, what? And I did a bad impression of him there. But anyway.
Sound like you squawk. Like, squawk!
Squawk! Yeah, the Doctor is a parrot now. Okay, that didn't really happen.
That'd
anyway.
Be an interesting episode.
So fast forward to Christmas Day, 2006, and we get The Runaway Bride. And this is an episode about a bride who runs away. Okay. Sort of. She's not by choice. Anyway.
Has virtually nothing to do with Christmas, other than the reappearance of the Santa robot.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I'm pretty sure that was because they made the episode and they said, hey, this is only 45 minutes. It needs to be an hour. 15 minutes of Santa robots. Go!
Santa robot!
Yeah. Anyway, so what happens is the Doctor tries to get Donna back to her wedding. She was sort of like sucked out of her wedding. And you come to find it was because of a giant spider monster. This is such a convoluted episode.
It's the weirdest fucking plot. It's like Donna becomes the secretary for this organization that's being secretly run by this guy who's being manipulated by the Arachnos giant spider monster that's supposed to be extinct, killed by all the Time Lords, but really isn't. It. This is like the only one left that's been living in like this core of the Earth somehow for like millions of years. Because back in the beginning, its spaceship got flung out into space and was part of the mass that eventually congealed to become the Earth. And so she gets manipulated, and she's drinking this water that has like this like experimental stuff in it that makes her like particles all chronon, huon, timey, wimey stuff. And so then she gets attracted to the TARDIS, and so she accidentally gets teleported into the TARDIS, and the Doctor has to kind of figure all that stuff out, and then he almost kills the Arachnos monster.
In a fit of rage.
Yeah, in a fit of rage, and he almost kills himself in the process by a giant flood of water, but then Catherine Tate at the very end saves him, and then he goes off without Catherine Tate at the very end.
Yeah.
That was the episode.
Okay. Everybody got that?
Good.
All right. Now, that being said, this is a really convoluted episode. It is probably my favorite of the Russell T Davies Christmas specials because it is really entertaining.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like the plot. I think it's almost they're joking about how convoluted the plot is at points. And I think that's the value of a character like Donna Noble is that she can make that stuff kind of light. And and let's talk about Donna. She's fairly different here than she is in season 4.
She's more annoying.
Yeah, she's more grating. And I like that they sort of finessed her character later on. But she's just basically Catherine Tate doing what people knew she was good at the time from her comedy show, which was sort of, I guess, being loud.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But even then, yeah, I think it's funny. Her welcome is a bit overstayed by the end, but it works, well enough.
She certainly is loud.
She is. She does her job well. But yeah, and that's funny. All of the doctors, I think there's a good story here, both where David Tennant gets to be very funny at times interacting with Donna Noble, but he also, there's a good element of sort of contemplation here as he's, sort of in this fit of depression because of Rose. And this is what I've always said about Rose, is I never liked Rose, and I didn't like their relationship, but I've liked the aftermath that David Tennant shows, because he's a good actor. And I don't know if you agree. Okay.
Well, it's just I don't like the whole situation, so anything having to do with it is just kind of annoying.
Okay.
Because every time the doctor, David Tennant gets all mopey about it, I'm like,
Okay. Anyway, and there's not too much of that here, except at the end, but it's worked into a big action climax, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
spider monster thing.
Yeah, like I said, this is a really entertaining episode, so let's talk about that. We get, early on in the episode, my favorite action sequence in all of Doctor Who, and that is the TARDIS chase.
Oh, the TARDIS car
I like
chase.
that. Yeah, I think that's really funny and fun. And I think isn't she kidnapped by Santa robots?
Yeah, she gets into a cab that's being driven by a Santa robot, which is kind of a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but she's too loud to figure that out.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get the Doctor chasing her down in his TARDIS through the streets of London, not the streets of London, the highways of London. And it's pretty cool. I like that. It's also Doctor Who at this time had a lot of really cheesy CGI effects. That one works really well if you look at it. It holds up well. The Christmas specials, I think they were given actual money.
Instead of the Monopoly money they give to all the other episodes.
Yeah. So anyway, that stuff's fun. All the stuff at the wedding when they sort of go back to the wedding reception with Donna, that's fun, seeing her family and stuff. I don't think Wilf is here yet.
No, you don't.
No. Okay, that's too bad. But, and also it has a really funny Donna sequence where she's telling the Doctor about her whole relationship with this man she's marrying, and we see that it's completely opposite from what she's saying, where she keeps saying that he was the pushy one, really wanted to get married, was full of, about commitment and stuff, but it was really her, and it's a funny visual gag.
Yeah.
And works really well. So, I don't know. It's hard to remember any of the plot specifics, and I can't believe you figured all that out just now. I just explained it all.
Okay. I just know everything about Doctor Who.
Okay,
so
that's good. I just remember.
It's my place here on the podcast is to know all this stuff while you just kind of do whatever you do.
Oh, thank you, Sean. But then I do remember all the stuff with the Rachnos, because the Rachnos has maybe the most annoying voice ever, but it's really funny, and I like that scene for that.
Okay.
That's
nice, Jonathan.
God, I've never seen a creature chew that much scenery, but my God, it's it's really weird.
and she does this really weird swaying body movement, which I don't know why, because it seems like she's trying to play a snake, but she's a spider monster, not a snake monster. Spiders don't sway back and forth on their thorax.
But tell me what you think about the Runaway Bride.
I think there's a bride and that she runs away. Well, she doesn't really run away at all, really. Yeah. She gets accidentally teleported into a TARDIS.
That name is almost as misleading as Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah, not even close to as misleading as Let's Kill Hitler.
All right, but any other thoughts on it?
I think Donna Noble is my favorite companion of the Davies years. But she's not that great here. No. But I like the episode. I don't think it's that great.
Okay, and I don't think it's that great either. Yeah. I think the Christmas specials are sort of a fun event. As episodes, the Davies ones, I run hot and cold on them. I think there are good parts and bad parts. They are just fun as sort of event episodes, And this is definitely one where, there are some flaws, and we've pointed them out, but the effect is fun enough, I think it's easy to overlook.
I agree.
Yeah, and I do think you see the things in Donna Noble here that would go on to make her a great character. They just haven't all been finessed yet.
Yeah, I do think that the one or two conversations that the Doctor and Donna actually get to have that there's not anything crazy going on.
Yeah.
Or are really good because they reveal more of the Doctor's character, and it's one of the reasons why Donna made a really great companion is because she's not an 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
It's she actually can relate to the Doctor a bit because she's actually kind of lived the life.
Yeah.
So I always found that a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and the last scene between them is really good too, which is she's the first companion we've seen in the modern show saying, "No, I'm not going to travel with you." Mm-hmm. And that's again, you're talking about a sort of quiet scene between the two of them, a really good one. And when it snows in this episode, it is not the flesh of the enemies. as far as I know.
It's not actual snow, is it? Doesn't he make TARDIS snow or something?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I guess there's no snow in England.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right. What are we going to talk about next? All right, 2007. Let's set the scene. The end of Series 3. This is with the companion... Martha.
Very good, Jonathan. Yes,
Yeah.
it is the companion Martha. And perhaps one of the most ridiculous finales of all time where the Doctor turns into a Super Saiyan. Is that a reasonable explanation for what happens in that finale? The Doctor turns into a Super Saiyan?
I think that's a fairly reasonable explanation. I hadn't thought of it before. But that is a good way to describe it succinctly, I think.
Yes, the Doctor turns into a Super Saiyan, and then time gets reset, but only kind of.
Now, wait a second. He gets turned into a Super Saiyan from the power of love. That's what turns him into a Super Saiyan.
Not even really the power of love. It's just more the power of saying Doctor.
Yes.
Which
Let's not undercut the ridiculousness of that finale.
Yeah.
You also get, the Doctor as an old, shriveled up bean. And
Well, he gets turned into Dobby from Harry Potter. It's that's like, without the ears. That's really what he looks like. He gets put into the cage.
Yep.
He goes from Dobby without the ears into a Super Saiyan over the course of the finale.
And you have the Master in the background chewing lots of scenery also.
Dancing around, being the Joker.
Yeah.
But then you do get kind of a really sad ending because then Martha leaves because Martha went through ungodly shit because there was an entire year that occurred where the Master was ruling the entire Earth. And
remember,
she was like a rebellious force.
Yeah, remember when I said something about Davies going too big? That's a good example of
it.
And
then, she goes through an entire year where she has to organize an entire rebellion and goes through all this shit, but then...
turn the Doctor Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, and then he just, Kamehameha. And then time gets reset, only everyone remembers it who was on the ship, who was the SHIELD helicarrier, but it's not really a SHIELD helicarrier, it's something else. But anyways... It's really sad because Martha's obviously really traumatized with everything that happens, and so she leaves, and the Doctor's all alone on his TARDIS. And then he meets the Fifth Doctor for 5 minutes, and then the Titanic crashes into the TARDIS.
Yeah. The Fifth Doctor thing, that's a separate little mini special. But really quick, let's just talk about how it happens, though, in that finale, because you don't see that in that finale. It just cuts from...
I do in my mind.
Martha walks away, the Doctor's kind of contemplative, and then the Titanic crashes through.
He's just, standing in the TARDIS, just, being all David Tennant Moby, and then, boom! Titanic crashes. He's like, what? What? And then he picks up, the little, buoy thing, and it's got, Titanic on it. He's like, what? And then it's like, ba, 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 da, ba, boo, 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 et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Kamehameha.
And this leads into Voyage of the Damned.
Which is, they're not even pretending there's anything to do with Christmas at this point.
Yeah.
Voyage of the Damned.
Well, it is a Christmas cruise. I think they say that once or something.
All the aliens go on a Christmas cruise on the HMS Titanic in space.
Yes. Voyage of the Damned is probably my least favorite of the Davies Christmas specials, but it's got a lot of interesting ideas.
Yeah, I think it could have been really good. I think that has some really good spots, but it doesn't really execute. I think it kind of cops out in the premise.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what it is, though. What happens is the Doctor's on the Titanic in space, and I can't believe I just said that
Titanic
sentence.
In space!
Anyway, and...
they crash into a space iceberg.
Yeah, pretty much. It's sinking, and the Doctor's got to... The ship turns upside down, and that's like the movie... what movie is that they're playing off of there?
I don't know.
Or no, does the ship turn upside down?
I don't think it does.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
I mean, it's all relative in space. There's no upside down in
that's
space.
True.
So.
Anyway, they've got to get off.
Yeah, sure, it turns upside down. It was upside down the whole time.
All right, they have to get off the ship. The Doctor makes a bunch of friends. One of them played by Kylie Minogue, who is a British hot person, I guess, something like that.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah. Kylie Minogue is a British hot person.
Yes.
Playing Astrid. I always remember that name.
Yeah.
It's a cool name.
I remember her because she annoyed the fuck out of me. But anyway,
really? I kind of liked Astrid.
Okay. If they had a real actress playing her, I think it could have worked.
No.
Anyway. So, Doctor and the hot person, they got to get off. They make a bunch of friends, including some characters I really like.
Like the tiny red cyborg?
Yes. What's his name? Do you remember? Oh, Bonacafalata. I got it. It's a weird... Jamie V is Bonacafalata, and it's an awesome little red dude. And
red cyborg dude.
Yes. Pretty cool, so he's got to get off there. They've got to save the ship, sort of. And hilarity ensues.
Well, no hilarity. This is not one of the funny Doctor Who episodes. This is one of the ones where everyone gets killed.
Yeah, this is a riff on Doctor Who that I don't particularly like. And maybe it's the execution, maybe it's the idea, I don't know. Probably the execution more than anything, but it's basically a disaster movie with Doctor Who characters. And I don't know, I think it gets really dark, especially for sort of the Doctor Who Christmas special, which has established itself as, at this point, a little lighter. And so it's, the Doctor meets all these cool characters we like to varying degrees, and they all get killed off in various ways. And I don't really know what the point they were making was, other than, it's Christmas, so let's kill a bunch of people. And that, for me,
Is that a point?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not sure if they were trying to make a point. I think it was just supposed to be an episode.
Okay.
Trying to read something.
Anyway, I like all the stuff. I like the idea of the Titanic in space. The design of that is really phenomenal. Lots of fun little ideas about how they have the Titanic in space. You get Alon Z. Alonso, which is one of my favorite moments ever. So,
It's one of your favorite moments ever is when he gets to say Alon Z. Alonso.
I love that part. What?
Okay.
It's great.
I thought it was a little cheesy.
Okay. I like it. Anyway, what do you think about this episode?
I think I have a theory that the reason why Doctor Who is the greatest show ever is because Doctor Who can do anything, and Doctor Who could cross over with anything. It's like Doctor Who could do whatever it wants, and it could do it well.
Yeah.
And so I like and they don't explore it enough, I feel, on the show, because the show has that potential to do anything. So I thought a disaster movie Doctor Who episode, that can work. That can work really, really well. The problem is they didn't do that. That's like the direction they were going, they were hinting at, and then you get all the stuff with the robots on the ship, and then the guy who's manipulating. It's like a Scooby-Doo plot. Where it's like the guy...
Oh, I remember.
The rich guy.
That's why I didn't like it.
It's like there's like this rich guy who's trying to like do this like insurance fraud thing, and he has these robots, but the Doctor and those rascally dogs and whatever, they solve the problem and get in the mystery van TARDIS and save the day. But it's just like... The episode's kind of fine with all the disaster stuff, but then Davies feels he has to put in like more mystery and all this other stuff to it that he doesn't need to put. You can just have the Doctor Who disaster movie, but then it gets really weird and complicated with the guy who's causing the disaster because he wants the insurance and all this stuff with like...
I remember. It was convoluted but not fun.
He's like this like weird guy with an eye patch who's in a robot suit. And I think he gets... Does he get killed by Kylie Minogue in a forklift?
That was, maybe the lamest death any character's ever gotten.
Like, really, Kylie Minogue kills him with a forklift. Take that for what you will.
Yeah.
And then also, it got some really weird imagery, I thought, where it was like... Because they have all these robots that are like that look like angels because it's Christmas.
Oh, I remember this, yeah.
And so, at one point, the Doctor... like, reprograms the robots that got reprogrammed to kill him, but he reprograms them not to kill him, but to obey him, and he, like, snaps his fingers, and they grab him, and then he flies up, and there's, like, this shot, and it looks like a Renaissance painting where he's supposed to be Jesus. Yeah. It looks like he's Jesus, basically, being lifted up by angels, and when that image just comes up, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and you know what? But that is a theme in the episode that I don't like, where it is the Doctor is Jesus, and, so people have to respect him, and, Kylie Minogue has to go die for him, and...
Yeah, it's just like
weird.
It gets really weird. It should have just been a Doctor Who disaster.
It's one of those stories that is maybe too reverential towards the Doctor.
Yeah, he's God basically.
It's like, yes, he is really cool. That's why he's been on the air for 50 years. He's not Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh well, but yeah, weird stuff. I did not so much like Kylie Minogue. I don't think she's awful, but I don't know.
She's better than Rose.
That's true. She's less annoying, although I think if you gave her 2 seasons, she would be just as annoying.
Maybe she'd get better.
That's true. Although I think half the stuff was probably not Billie Piper so much as the writing, and that, it wasn't her choice to cry in every other scene.
No, isn't Billie Piper a pop singer too?
Yeah.
Like, Billie Piper and Kylie Minogue are like, they're kind of like the same person, like, if you look at it from a very far distance.
Yeah.
They're both just kind of hot British pop singers.
Yeah. Hot in the
which I guess is why David Tennant like kisses her, because this
that's another one.
This is where it kind of gets to the point where it gets ridiculous with how many like women David Tennant's Doctor gets with.
This is another reason I didn't like Asher, though, is that I can understand if you want to develop Rose over 2 seasons and then have a romance. I didn't necessarily like it, but you're at least developing it, right? With this, it's in 1 hour, and he kisses her at like the 30-minute mark. It's like, are you really that desperate, man? Couldn't you get like a space hooker?
Well, I think she kisses him. But still, it's like, they do imply, like, this very romantic thing is like...
When he's going to take her away in the TARDIS, and, She gets killed because she's a pop singer. Anyway.
And they realize the mistake they made with Rose. So it's like, we're not going down that road again.
Yeah.
Let's bring back Catherine Tate.
Whoa.
That's a really weird picture on Wikipedia for Astrid.
Yeah, we just looked at the Astrid Path page on
It looks like that's like a picture you would take on like a 50s movie set when the movie's in black and white and it's like really early color photography.
Yeah, she looks like she's like cosplaying as Marilyn Monroe.
She kind of does.
The hairdo is, yeah.
And the lighting's really weird.
Yep, the nice like soft 50s lighting and yeah. Oh, all right. That's Voyage of the Damned. Any other thoughts, Sean?
I think they should reapproach the concept and do another disaster Doctor Who thing, but do it well.
Okay.
Don't throw in weird Scooby-Doo plots.
Yes. It would be interesting to have Matt Smith on that because it would test sort of his optimism and stuff, you know? Because he doesn't go as dark as fast as someone like David Tennant did.
Sure.
So anyway, the next Christmas special was after season 4, series 4, season 30, I think, right? Yeah. And that season, luckily, I just wanted to point this out, has a fantastic ending. Not the whole episode, but the actual ending where Donna has to get her mind wiped. And it's a really sad scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like sitting on my seat like, please do not fuck this up. Please do not fuck this up. You've gotten the Doctor to this perfect moment. You know, it's a good David Tennant mopey moment. And I was, waiting for, the Roman Colosseum to appear in the TARDIS or something. and it doesn't happen. Yay.
All of a sudden, the Doctor turns into a lion. What?
Yeah.
Credits. Da, da, da.
Luckily, nothing happens. And so we didn't know what the Christmas special would be. But you come back for Christmas. This is 2008. And we get the next Doctor. The first of a number of sort of standalone specials that were the end of the David Tennant era.
That are infuriating because you have no idea where to place them in context of everything else in terms of seasons.
Yeah. They're
fucking specials. I hate you.
Season 4.5?
I
don't know.
Nebula special area after season 4.
Actually, all I know is that they're all collected in a box set called the Complete Specials, which makes me mad because they're not the Complete Specials. They're the season 4.5 specials. If it were the Complete Specials, it would have a lot more stuff.
It'd have the other specials.
Yes. Makes no sense. And
Where do you draw the line at the specials?
How could it ever be complete? They're always making more of them.
Exactly.
Stupid. But the next Doctor is a really good episode. Tell us about it.
There's a guy and he's the next Doctor.
Thank you.
But I mean, he's not. He's obviously not. It's like that. That's like one of those things where it's like, that's not going. It's kind of like, I mean, they tried to do this thing where they did the fake out regeneration at the end of series 4.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you're obviously, no. David Tennant's not going to regenerate. That's just the total fake out.
Yeah.
And then they immediately do the next Doctor. It's like, is there going to be a next Doctor? No, there's not going to be. No, it's a fake out. No, don't even, no.
But I think it's a good fake out. If you judge the episode on its own merit, it's a good story. So what happens is the Doctor lands in TARDIS.
Lands in TARDIS.
He lands his TARDIS in London.
He creates a recurrent time loop in his own TARDIS so you can go through it.
That does happen later on, but
that happens earlier on, actually.
Okay, anyway.
Several times.
Yes, the Doctor lands...
Master's TARDIS, too.
The Doctor goes to London on Christmas Eve in 1851, and he meets a guy named...
David Morrissey.
Yes.
Who's actually not David Morrissey.
He's called Jackson Lake, but
he's David Morrissey.
Yes, he's played by British actor David Morrissey, and he thinks he is the Doctor, but he's not really the Doctor.
Yeah, he's not David Tennant, he's David Morrissey. And I see how you can get that confused.
Yes, and what's brilliant about this episode is that it's actually a nice sort of examination of sort of a broken life and sort of not maybe mental illness, but because it doesn't really go into that. But what happens to this man, Jackson Lake? The Doctor finds out he thinks he's the Doctor. Jackson Lake thinks he's the Doctor because he's had sort of this trauma from losing his family.
And then it all has to do with Cybermen. Because the Cybermen I don't know where these Cybermen come from because they fucked up the Cybermen so bad. But they're Cybermen somehow, somewhere. And they've got little, canisters that shoot memories at people.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why they have those.
But you get lots of good jokes in the first part where he thinks the sonic screwdriver is just a screwdriver and he knocks against the...
Oh, yeah, it's like, it's a screwdriver. What's Sonic about that? That's Sonic.
Yeah. So, good jokes. And then I think it's a good sort of serious story where he's lost his family, but his son is still there with the Cybermen, so they've got to go get him. And the whole plot, I described this to Sean earlier, and I think it's a good description, is it's basically Dickensian sci-fi, where you've got all this idea of all these kidnapped children in, sort of this slum London.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they have the child labor undertone, too.
That's what I mean about Dickens.
Yeah.
And so it is the Dickensian London, and it's that whole child labor thing, but they're being manipulated by Cybermen, and so the Doctor's got to go stop them, and it has the single biggest cop-out ending in the history of Doctor Who, where the Doctor fires a laser beam at the Cyber King, and he just disappears. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's fucking pathetic. But anyway, stuff, yeah.
Yeah, stuff.
Do you have anything to say about this episode?
I think it's another line, and I don't like the Cybermen in this episode. Especially they do that weird thing where there's like the Cyber Wolf people.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? It was like if you took the Cyberman mask and like put it on Cyberman, and like, but you also had a big woolly blanket over the person that was wearing the Cyberman mask. That's what those things. You don't remember those things?
I'm kind of remembering them now.
And it was terrible, and I have no idea what the fuck they were. Why?
Oh, is it the Cyber Shade?
Cyber Shade, that's what I guess they're called.
Right.
They're terrible. It looks completely awful, and there's no and then they have the weird, like there's the whole thing with the really bitchy woman. That that
doesn't work.
Yeah, that I thought that was just.
It's another overstuffed episode.
Yeah, it's just like that whole side of it just doesn't.
Okay, no, I don't like that.
Sense. It's like it should have just been the Cybermen fucking around with people because that's what Cybermen do.
Yeah,
and then so that ends up having the whole thing with the next Doctor plot. And that should have been the plot of the episode, but then they do this whole weird side thing with
and I guess
the Cyber King Transformer robot.
Yeah, and I guess I've forgotten about that just because I didn't, as you're saying, that wasn't good. And I just have kind of remembered the good parts of the episode. And I think the good parts are really, really good. And I think David Tennant and David Morrissey had some good chemistry together. You know, they had good scenes. So there are parts of this episode that work spectacularly. There are parts that fail spectacularly. It's a Russell T Davies episode. That's all of them.
I also remember this. Isn't this the first time that they do that thing where they show all the different Doctors because they have the memory laser?
And it pissed a lot of people off because this is when they canonized the 8th Doctor.
Which I guess people were calling Christopher Eccleston the 8th Doctor. Some of them were up to that point, which I think is kind of weird.
I didn't know that either, but I mean, I learned it when I watched this episode and read about it. So... yeah, in fact, on Wikipedia, they talk about how they've shown everyone in this episode, and but they brought it back to even better effect in the 11th hour.
Yes,
that effect. Anyway, so that's the next Doctor. Anything else to say about it?
There wasn't a next Doctor
at
all. I don't even. That's kind of just like it should have been like the other Doctor or another Doctor or oh God, it's the Doctor, but he's not the Doctor, or is he?
Could be Ted Doctor.
Sure.
TEH Doctor?
Sure.
All right. Well, we do meet the next Doctor, sort of, in the next Christmas special.
We do?
Well, not the one that it's a 2-part Christmas special, but only part 1 aired on Christmas. The next part was the New Year's special. But this is the end of time. We go through the weirdly...
Just spoiler alert, time doesn't end.
Yeah.
It's another misleading title.
All these titles are fucking cock teases.
Yeah, this is like, none of them make sense. I don't know what the Titanic one has to do with the Voyage of the Damned. Nobody's damned on that ship.
Like, a lot of them get fucked up, but you know.
Yeah, but when you say Voyage of the Damned, you think of like a ship with like skeleton people and shit on it.
They could have called that the Curse of the Black Spot Voyage of the Damned. It would have made more sense. They're cursed. They're damned.
That Curse of the Black Spot should have been Voyage of the Damned.
We're officially going to rename Voyage of the Damned Voyage of the Fucked Up.
No, Voyage of the Damned is now Titanic without Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, okay.
That's the title. Titanic without Leonardo DiCaprio. Kate Winslet might be there. I'm not sure.
Is she naked?
Well, it's Kate Winslet, yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, the next Christmas special was The End of Time, Part 1. This was the 2-part finale to the David Tennant era. At the very end, we meet Matt Smith for the first time. The Doctor gets radiation poisoning and dies and is regenerated.
As the Doctors want to do.
Yes. That's his favorite way to die, I think. Anyway. So this is The End of Time. And so how they aired this is that it was 2 parts. Part 1 aired on Christmas Day, and then this was 2009, I think. Christmas Day 2009, and then the last part aired on January 1st, 2010. So you got 2 specials around the same time. And it is kind of funny when you think about David Tennant's technical years as the Doctor are 2005 to 2010, but that's only because he had 1 special in 2005 and 1 in 2010. So he has a really long time range, but his actual number of episodes produced is pretty low.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny.
I was just kind of thinking of him as having 4 years of the Doctor because of the special year.
Yeah, me too.
Year of specials.
You're right. And anyway, so part 1 of The End of Time is... who the fuck knows? The Master is regenerated through some kind of blood ritual or something, and then he eats people with his electric face, and
I like how you described this episode.
And Timothy Dalton does some narration, and then a portal in part 2, a portal between Gallifrey and Earth opens.
Through a tiny diamond.
Yeah, through a tiny diamond, and shit goes down, and the Doctor regenerates. I love part 2 of The End of Time. I do not like one bit part 1 of The End of Time. I like little things. Yeah. Anything in part 1 dealing with the Doctor sort of contemplating his regeneration is good, because that's a new thing for Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. And it was David Tennant's fantastic at it. It's fairly well written. Most of that episode doesn't even have David Tennant in it, though. It's all about the Master, and it is really not good.
Yeah, Master with his new supervillain powers where he shoots lightning.
Yeah. Which doesn't even come into play in part 2.
At
all.
It's like they just wanted to have a good, cool fight. I mean, I wish the Doctor had turned Super Saiyan in that fight.
I know.
And then he could have Kamehameha'd him. Would you fucking fix your phone?
I'm sorry.
Turn off the sound. What is wrong with you? This is a professional environment.
Okay, I was trying.
Anyways.
Sorry about my iPhone going off.
Anyways, so the Doctor turns Super Saiyan and Kamehamehas the Electro, a.k.a. the Master.
He doesn't do that, though. Sean?
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Awesome.
That's the episode I made up.
Okay.
But no, the Doctor kind of walks slowly towards him while he shoots lightning but misses for some reason. And then they talk.
Yeah, and then the Master's yelling, "I'm hungry!"
And then he Hulk jumps away.
Yeah.
I remember he turns into like a superhero.
You know who he is? He is Judge. He's the judge from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He's Christopher Lee's character, not Christopher Lee. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lee would be cool. Anyway, sorry. If you've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Christopher Lloyd is just this cartoon character, literally at the end, who's jumping around and killing people and firing fists out of his hands, and yeah, that's who the Master is in this episode.
Yeah.
Would you say that is an accurate portrayal of the Master?
I've never particularly liked how they handled the Master in the new series. Because he turned from like the Joker into like an amalgam of a bunch of different supervillains.
I know. I think in part 2 he has a bunch of good moments.
Although then he also has the stupid fucking plan where he turns everyone into the Master.
Yeah, that's really
like
dumb.
5 minutes.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's awful. God, that's stupid.
It's like they spend so long on that joke where it's like this dude, he has that what it is like he makes the Master race. It's like, oh,
and that is the end of part.
Me.
That's the end of part 1. So there's another reason I hate part 1. You've got all these other these rich people in the mansion who are like conspiring with the Master or something
to make because the device is supposed to heal people, I think, but it rewrites genetics somehow. So somehow rewriting genetics magically turns everyone into John Sim, I guess.
I don't know.
Shaking their head really. They shake their head really fast, and then it's John Sim.
Yeah,
I suddenly lost all the body weight I had. Now I'm John Sim. I don't know where all that mass went. Conservation of mass. Fuck that.
Yeah. All right, I have only ever watched part 1 once because it annoys me. I've watched part 2 like 3 times because I think it's pretty great. But we're talking about part 1 because it aired on Christmas. And fuck it.
We're going to pretend there isn't even a part 2.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the New Year's Eve podcast.
I know. Fuck that. And I actually said Voyage of the Damned was the worst. No, it's End of Time. If you balance End of Time part 1 out with part 2, it's good. But, we're talking about the one that aired on Christmas, and this is sort of like getting coal in your stocking. And you expect it to be awesome because it's Doctor Who.
No. And this is actually a complete exaggeration, but since I've thought of it, I'm going to say it anyways. This is like getting coal in your stocking and then someone hitting you in the nuts with the coal in your stocking. That's what watching this episode's like.
Okay.
And it has nothing to... It's another one that has nothing to do with Christmas at all.
Yeah.
I don't even think it snows at all. It doesn't even fake snow in this episode.
Yeah, you don't have a bunch of fake Masters getting blown up and, snowing on people's heads. Anyway, and part 2 is such an improvement. You get Timothy Dalton doing his thing, and he's awesome. And you get all the great final scenes with the Doctor, and all the great final scenes with him and Wilf, and his sort of farewell tour, which is awesome. And then the great last scene where the Oods sing him to sleep, and Matt Smith's first scene, which is funny. Part 2 is brilliant.
I don't want to go.
I know, you're sad. I don't want to see him go. But then Matt Smith shows up, and I'm like, I'm okay, he's cool. But, it's sad. But it's even sadder to watch something like part 1 and think, this is how they're ending this. Oh well.
I wonder when time's going to end.
Yeah, why is it called that? There is no end of time. There's not even a hint of it. Do you have an idea of that?
I think because I think that's like supposed to be their plan is something to do with like we're going to end time, but doesn't make that like that because it's not their plan. Isn't they're going to end time? I remember what their plan is. They're going to like become thought beings. They're like going to transcend like this realm, like all that shit. It has nothing to do with ending time. Ending time would be you can't move. There would be no progression of events whatsoever. So it really has nothing to do with the end of time.
All right. Well,
actually, the end of time would be a more appropriate title for the Wedding River Song because that's what's threatened to happen if they don't fix everything.
See, we could just take a bunch of Russell T Davies episode names and put them
on. We can somehow reapply them to Stephen Moffat episodes more appropriately.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Well, anyway, speaking of Stephen Moffat, we are now out of the David Tennant years. This is 2010. We've just had the...
I thought it was 2011.
Okay, no, we're talking about history here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was 2010.
It was 2010. We've just had
the wrong tense.
We've just had the 32nd season of Doctor Who, or is it 31st? 31st, the 5th series by another count, and brilliant year. I think it's one of the all-time great TV seasons. Matt Smith's introduction, great year with him and Amy Pond. Stephen Moffat was on top of his game this year, writing a bunch of great episodes, and then to cap it all off, on Christmas Day, we get A Christmas Carol, which, to my mind, is right there at the top of what they've done at the revived series in terms of quality. It is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
It's almost as good a Christmas episode of Doctor Who as when the first Doctor said Merry Christmas.
Yes, but not quite.
Yeah, it didn't quite warm the cockles of my heart.
Okay.
As the first Doctor was able to.
All right. But you agree it's pretty good?
Yeah.
All right. So this is, as the title implies, a sort of pseudo-adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. But what happens is that, and I actually watched this episode this morning to prepare for this podcast, more because I wanted an excuse to watch it, because it's an awesome episode. And I don't really need an excuse to watch it, do I?
You just watch it.
All right. So Amy and Rory are having sex on a cruiser for their honeymoon.
Explicit.
Yeah.
It's everything shown.
Yeah. That was a little weird for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
To open that way. But anyway, while they're doing it, the ship gets caught in an electric cloud field and it's crashing and they need to save it.
And so the Doctor goes Super Saiyan and Kamehameha's the ship.
No, something much more awesome happens.
Oh.
He meets Kazran Sardik, who is a total douchebag. He's basically
I thought he meant Dumbledore.
Well, Dumbledore's nice. Kazran Sardik is not nice. I
don't know. I think Dumbledore's kind of mean.
I think Dumbledore would have saved those people, though.
No.
No, you don't?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, Kazran Sardik, who's played by Michael Gambon. He is our Scrooge for the episode. And Kazran Sardik is a mean old man who, I
think he's just misunderstood.
Okay. Well, that's what we come to find out. But anyway, he's a mean old man, and he doesn't...
He's misunderstood.
He's a misunderstood mean old man who doesn't want to save all these 4,003 people, and I remember because they say that number a bunch in the episode. 4,003 people on the cruiser. He doesn't want to save them, and so the Doctor decides to Christmas Carol his ass by sort of revising his past. And what happens is that he goes into the past. The Doctor's hanging out with young Kazran Sardik. Turns out Kazran had a very abusive father, also played by Michael Gambon, which is
more evidence that Dumbledore is not a nice person. He abused himself when he was his father.
This isn't Dumbledore. It's the actor who played Dumbledore. Anyway,
I like my version where Dumbledore abused himself as his own father. Okay, that would have made Harry Potter much more entertaining for me.
Okay, anyway, so he meets young Kazran, and what they do is they every Christmas Eve for a couple of years they go down. I guess I should back up. Yeah. Elliot Sardik, Kazran's father, has locked all these people from this planet away in these ice boxes under his house because they owe him money. And this is sort of his way of hoarding. This is much more evil than what Ebenezer Scrooge did. That's one of the things I like about this, is that they really make you hate this guy right up front. Anyway, and they go down and they into this freezer and they unlock this woman who is named, and I am so terrible named, Abigail, played by Katherine Jenkins. Who is not just a hot woman, she's also an opera singer and very talented. Anyway, and she's also really good in this episode. But so they unlock Abigail from cryogenic storage, and they basically have a Christmas Eve every year. The Doctor sort of teaching Kazran the meaning of love, with Abigail, and then
Marilyn Monroe.
Which is so funny. We'll get to that, though. So, and there's a lot of complications. I don't want to, go through the whole story and spoil every minute, but you also get a version of the Ghost of Christmas Present and a really, really brilliant twist on the Ghost of Christmas Future, which is a really powerful scene in the episode. And it is...
breaks all sorts of laws of time. But...
Well, that's true. But I think this is a pretty flawless episode. I love this episode to death. It was the first one we got in America on Christmas Day on BBC America, and it was so special to watch this on Christmas Day. Just a wonderful episode. Actually has a lot to do with Christmas. Murray Gold's score is so fantastic. But Sean, take it away. What? Tell us about A Christmas Carol.
Okay, so The Christmas Carol is about a man who has power over the laws of space and time, and he uses that to completely fuck and change this one person's entire life without that person's decision.
The guy's trying to kill 4,003 people.
So that gives you the right to go and change his entire life.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
So you think the Doctor is the villain of this episode?
I think that he violates a lot of human rights.
Oh. But the killing 4,003 people, that's...
No, that's also awful, yeah, but there's another way. The Doctor knows that. You don't just forcibly change someone's life.
But it's for the better. The Doctor, he thanks him at the end.
Because the Doctor completely fucked with and rewrote his past, do you think a mean old misunderstood Dumbledore would have been, oh, thank you, Doctor? No, because the Doctor completely changed him. That's fucked up.
Wait, do you like this episode?
Oh, I love this episode. It's a great episode. But it's fucked up. When you think about it, this shit's fucked up.
But Matt,
I'm just saying, I'm not inviting anyone if they think that I'm a mean person, that I have a bad life, that they can just go into my past and change everything to make me a different person. I'm just not advocating that as an option to take.
But don't you love how much fun Matt Smith has doing that to this guy?
I think that's because it kind of makes him sociopathic. That's me.
I know you have thoughts about all the great dialogue in this episode, though. Tell us about it. I know you have a bunch of lines you love from this episode.
I don't remember any of them anymore.
You don't? Oh, because you told me about this a couple months ago.
I can't. You just put me on the spot.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about
well, there's the line about, well, we're boys, and you know what boys say in the face of danger?
Mummy.
Yes.
I remember that line now.
And I love that when the Doctor comes into little Kazran's room, and Kazran said, why did you just come in through the window? Well, if I went out of the window, I wouldn't be in here. Try to keep up. And there's the great scene where they're in the 60s, or the 50s probably, and the Kazran is finding out that Abigail is going to die, basically.
Spoilers.
It's very sad, but then the Doctor runs in saying, I think I'm engaged to Marilyn Monroe.
We have to get out of here.
Guys, this is happening
right now. But then they're like kissing. It's like, okay, Marilyn, get your coat.
This is just one of Matt Smith's best comedic scenes because of how it's sort of framed.
Yeah.
With them kissing and him sort of, frantically trying to figure this out, and it's such a minor thing in the grand scheme of things. So it's
anyways.
funny.
So yeah, don't fuck with people's pasts.
Okay. What do you want to say about this? What do you like about this episode other than
air sharks?
Air shark. Oh, I forgot to mention that there's all the fish in the sky and sharks, and it's one of those Stephen Moffat episodes where all the individual elements could probably be their own episode because they're all really fantastic. But he puts them all in one episode, and that makes something that it's just a very three-dimensional world we're in for this episode.
I just thought that we should have had a fight where the Doctor was riding on an air shark, and then Dumbledore was riding on another air shark, and then they were like jousting in the sky of their air sharks.
All right, Michael Gambon is fantastic,
and that's how he solves the problem without fucking with the guy's past.
All right, Michael Gambon is fantastic in this episode.
Dumbledore?
Yes, he's very good. As I was saying to Sean earlier, I think we need to get a lot more adult Harry Potter stars in this show. I want to see Alan Rickman on Doctor Who
as the Doctor's companion.
Yes,
for like a
full season. Yeah.
Just the
ultimate odd couple.
Yeah, it's just the complete opposite.
Yeah,
just it's like energetic happiness, complete dour, and just hate.
Yeah. Although you know what, I think Maggie Smith would be fun for an episode too.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah,
I'm just
you get Maggie Smith and Judi Dench to team up.
Alan Rickman as the companion. Yeah. That's all I want.
Yes, they could do the Doctor Who riff on Die Hard next year. Anyway, but what else is great about A Christmas Carol? Katherine Jenkins, as I said, I think is really good. It's a somewhat limited role, but she really sells it. She doesn't. I think there are moments where, like, let's say Kylie Minogue or Billie Piper, they're clearly not actresses, and that stands out. This doesn't stand out with Katherine Jenkins, and it's probably because she's an opera singer. She probably has some experience emoting on stage,
Yeah.
And
there's not quite as much weight put on her throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, but when she's asked to have weight on her, she does a good job.
Yeah.
And this is, if you want to know why this episode works so wildly well, I'm trying to figure out words. No, why it is so fantastic is that they work in a song number at the end. And it's awesome, and it's really dramatic, and it's just a good ending. And
it's a really good song.
Yeah.
I love that song.
I know. I put it on a Christmas mixtape last week. It's a good song. It has nothing to really do with
This is
Christmas.
the 90s again?
Mixed CD.
Okay.
Still outdated.
Early 2000s?
We were taking a road trip, and we needed CDs.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I think we should... Yeah. CDs are stupid.
Yeah, fuck physical media.
Yeah. Anyway.
Except for the Doctor Who Series 6 box set.
Sean, we're not being sponsored. It's okay.
You should buy it anyways.
Yeah, it's good. Anyway, so yeah, great song at the end. Murray Gold's score. I want to highlight that. This is the only Doctor Who score you can get completely uncut. And it is a great soundtrack. Of every Doctor Who score that has come out, this is probably the one I would recommend, although the Series 5 soundtrack is 2 discs and has a lot of the music, and it's very good. But his score for the Christmas special, this is a movie score. I mean, the song I played at the beginning is from it. It is really fantastic. It's all the sort of big motifs from Series 5 with a lot of new stuff that doesn't appear again. It's just for this Christmas special, and it's really, really good stuff. I think a lot of the emotion that is created in this episode is done through the music very effectively, but there's no single element of this episode that falls for me.
Hold on. Can you go back to the track list? What is the song titled Jeff? I don't remember anyone named Jeff in that.
That's a good point. I have no idea.
And it's spelled Geoff. So maybe it's Jeff. Yeah, maybe it's Jeff from Rooster Teeth. Maybe he made a guest spot on Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
here, you know what? I'm going to... Just on the Wikipedia... No, there's no one named Jeff on the Wikipedia page.
Okay, then. There's some mysterious Jeff person. So go buy the CD and find out why there's a track labeled Jeff.
Yes.
Because we sure as hell don't know.
Well, let's just try it. What does it sound like, even? All right, I don't even get it. Okay, whatever.
I was kind of hoping it would just be someone saying Jeff over and over again.
Okay. The Christmas Carol is awesome. It, I think, is one of the best ever adaptations of Charles Dickens' story. And obviously it makes a ton of changes, but I think it is...
I wouldn't say it's an adaptation. I think it's taking the kind of the... I mean, it uses it... It's kind of like it uses it within the episode, because the Doctor... he thinks up, a Christmas Carol.
Right.
And then he uses that as the idea to spur on what he's going to do. So it's like taking the ideas of the Christmas Carol and using them to further the plot.
Why I called it an adaptation is that I think he uses the same thematic imagery also, though, that Dickens did. And that I think a lot of Christmas Carol adaptations, particularly the ones like, Flintstones Christmas, the really gimmicky ones, miss, is that the point of that story isn't so much about, Christmas or a mean old man or anything. It's about looking at the entirety of a man's life and seeing the cause and effect relationships that turn someone into who they end up being. And showing that to a person and seeing would they change what they did, and that idea. And I think this story does that very effectively, even though Catherine Sardick probably has less choice in the matter than Ebenezer Scrooge did.
Yeah, so what do you have against the Flintstones Christmas Carol?
It's a great episode of the Flintstones. It's not quite as deep as the Charles Dickens classic.
I don't know. I think having dinosaurs and setting in the prehistoric era before there was a Jesus Christ made it more compelling, because you're wondering, why is there Christmas in this world? And who wrote A Christmas Carol for them to perform this play?
That's a good point.
And that's one thing that fucked me over in my life, was that I thought for the longest time A Christmas Carol was a play because the Flintstones did it as a play, and the whole thing's very meta in the Flintstones Christmas Carol, because it's all them performing the play A Christmas Carol, but you see the play A Christmas Carol, and it all relates back to Fred Flintstone's actual life. So that fucked me over when I was a kid.
So what you're saying is you like the Flintstones Christmas Carol better than the Doctor Who Christmas Carol?
I'm just saying I have very fond nostalgic memories of it. I don't think you should disparage it so casually. And that Doctor Who Christmas Carol has a lot of very disturbing messages if you actually think about it.
Okay. Well, that's very good. All right. Well, anyway, Doctor Who Christmas Carol, thumbs up?
Sure.
This is by far my favorite Christmas special. I always like seeing Stephen Moffat do, his standalone episodes, and we didn't get any of those in Series 6. So I'm looking forward to this year's Christmas special, because it'll be the same kind of thing, where there's not any arc responsibilities.
That's what you think.
Okay. This will be the Doctor dies again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he regenerates as a silence. But he looks exactly like Matt Smith.
But he's a silence?
Yeah.
That'll be weird.
Yeah.
All right. You want to yell Doctor Who one more time?
No.
Okay, you're good with that. All right, so those are the Christmas specials. Is Christmas Carol your favorite as well?
No, Flintstones Christmas Carol.
No, I mean of the Doctor Who Christmas specials.
Yeah, Flintstones Christmas Carol.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
All right, well, that's it for our Doctor Who Christmas special roundup. I'm going to be calling it a very merry Doctor Who Christmas podcast.
I didn't think it was that merry.
Okay, I think it's fairly merry.
But you said very merry.
Okay, so should I rename it a fairly merry?
Yeah.
All right, we'll retype that. A fairly merry
Don't
Doctor.
forget to change it to the monthly stuff podcast #1.
Okay, that would be a lot of work to redo the entire RSS feed, and I'd have to call
so
iTunes.
So much work.
Okay, I'm not going to... Never mind. Anyway,
okay.
Monthly stuff. And speaking of monthly stuff, this is the end of our Doctor Who portion of the discussion, but Sean and I had a bunch of games we wanted to talk about, and we thought, we may as well do it on the podcast. Sean and I always end up, after a podcast, talking about other stuff and then kind of wishing we'd recorded it, because they're usually good conversations.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that now, and this is a bonus, because this is our season finale of the Monthly 10, or
monthly stuff podcast,
or pilot of the monthly stuff, yes. So we're going to have a bonus segment here. We're going to talk about some video games. We're going to talk about Halo Anniversary, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, The Old Republic, which Sean is in the beta of, which is pretty cool.
Well, I was in the beta.
Was in the beta? Okay.
It was a limited thing.
It was a limited thing? All right. Well, but you'll have stuff to tell us about it, and any other games we may talk about. I'll talk about the 3 levels of Modern Warfare 3 I've played, maybe.
I haven't played any Modern Warfare 3.
Have you played Modern Warfare 2?
Yes.
Have you played Modern Warfare 1?
Yes.
You played Modern Warfare 3?
No.
All right.
I can talk about my thoughts about Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah. Anyway. So we're going to talk about some video games now. Let's start with The Old Republic, because I think that's one people are excited about.
Okay, it's just not actually out yet.
Right.
Okay, so what happened was I actually got to be in 2 different weekend betas, because what BioWare, the company making Star Wars The Old Republic, did was they said, okay, the game's going to come out December 15th. So, well, I think it actually comes out December 20th, but if you pre-ordered, you get early access on December 15th, which is what I did. So anyways, what they said was they've had a long-running beta so far, and I signed up for it years ago. I've known about the game for 3 to 4 years.
Can I interrupt really quickly about the long development process?
Oh my god!
If anyone listening knows the Drunk Tank podcast from Rooster Teeth, it's now called the Rooster Teeth podcast. I was going back and listening to old episodes, and they started that podcast 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I listened to #1, and they were talking about the Old Republic trailer.
Yeah.
My god, it's taken them a long time.
It's taken them so long. So I've been really excited for this game, because if you listen to our video game podcast, Knights of the Old Republic, from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, from BioWare, which is kind of like a prequel to this. It's my favorite game of all time. So anyways, I got into the beta, and if you don't know what Star Wars The Old Republic is, it's an MMORPG, which means massively multiplayer online role-playing game. So if everyone knows about World of Warcraft, it's basically the same genre. And so I've been very excited for this game, and I guess I'll just give some of my impressions of the game and what I did. So the game you have 2 different sides. You've got the Empire, the Sith Empire, and then you have the Galactic Republic. And when the actual game launches, I'm going to play a Jedi Knight on the Galactic Republic. But this game has a very heavy focus on story. So since I didn't want any of that stuff spoiled for me, I was like, okay, I'm in the beta, I'll just play on the Empire side.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to play Empire, but both sides have mirrored classes. So basically the classes on each side have a mirror on the other side that's basically the exact same. So you have the Jedi Knight on one side, but the Sith Warrior on the Sith Empire. So they're basically the same class, just with different stories and having to go through different sides. So I decided I'll play the Sith Warrior so I can check out what the class is like, but then I don't get any of the story stuff spoiled. And so start up the game, and immediate impressions is, if you've ever played World of Warcraft, you'll immediately get how to play this game. It's kind of like if you've played Halo, you'll know how to play Call of Duty, because they're the same basic genres. You got your basic hotkey bar at the bottom that you assign your abilities to. When you go into combat, interestingly, they don't have an auto attack. In World of Warcraft, if you choose to attack a creature, there's a standard attack that your character will do continuously while you select other abilities to do while he's doing that, to kind of bring strategy into it. But with the Old Republic, they decided there's kind of a standard attack, but that attack doesn't do take away any of your resources, like your force powers, to do other attacks, but you have to individually select it each time, so it brings a different flow into the combat, and I thought it worked really well. And so what's the big selling point for Star Wars The Old Republic is that there is the story aspect, because MMOs in the past have had no story whatsoever. And I was kind of skeptical about how it would work, because if you've played an MMO like World of Warcraft, you know it's like you get a quest and there'll be a box that pops up with your quest text that tells you what to do.
I finally figured out how to accept and finish a quest in World of Warcraft.
Okay, so you're on the first step. It's much easier in the Old Republic, because it's kind of spelled out for you more clearly.
Okay.
You don't have to go actually move the mouse and click. There's a button that's just one that's like a second, like accept the quest. But yeah, on World of Warcraft, it's like a box will pop up with quest text telling you basically what to do in the background, and basically 90% of the quests are going to be kill 10 of this creature in the area. So it's always fun when you're playing World of Warcraft and you get into a new area and you're walking to where you're going to go get your quests, but you see creatures on the way and it's like, eventually I'm going to get a quest to kill 10 of you, then I'm going to have to kill 10 of you, then 10 of you. And you know, every single enemy or mob, as they're called, you find in a game, you're going to have to kill 10 of them in World of Warcraft. But so you get your quest text and you'll just accept it right away in World of Warcraft without even really reading it. And then you just go do the quest and turn it in. And the game's really about just leveling up your character. But in the Old Republic, if you play the game like Mass Effect, they have the same basic system where the characters will actually talk to you. They give you reasons for why you're going on these quests. The quests are going to be basically the same generally, but there'll be kind of more of a reason for it. So instead of just going to an area and killing 10 people, it's like, okay, you're on a planet called Balmora, and there's a big rebellion right now, and we need you to go behind enemy lines and kill 10 of these, basically like insurgents or saboteurs or whatever, and so you have to go to do that. So there's actually a reason. It's not kill 10 wolves over there, because we don't like wolves, and so kill them.
We got a surplus of wolves.
Yeah, it's fuck the wolves. But so and they do the story stuff, I think, really, really well. It's BioWare. The writing is great. The voice acting is spectacular. I
heard about that it was all fully voice acted.
Yeah, and this is amazing if you think about how much there is, because each class has its own individual story. So the Sith Warrior, kind of how the whole quest system works is that each class will have its own story. So the Sith Warrior and the Sith Inquisitor, while they will start on the same planet and they'll share some quests, there's a main class quest that kind of drives you through that planet and get you to go places and do stuff that's completely different. And one of the things I did was, just out of curiosity, was I also played a Sith Inquisitor through the first planet, which is just to see how that works. And it felt completely different, not only because the combat's different, because you have more casting abilities than melee abilities, but the Sith Warrior's main plot line is, at least at the very beginning, this doesn't spoil that much if you want to play the game, because this is like the first 10 levels out of 50. So, lots of story to go through if you're going to play this game. But the Sith Warrior, basically, he's being used by this one Lord of the Sith to try to undercut this other apprentice who's trying to get higher up, and this Lord of the Sith doesn't trust this apprentice and thinks that he's going to basically hurt the Empire. So, my Sith Warrior, I try to play a kind of a light side Sith Warrior, which is really interesting, because he's a good guy, but in a really bad world. So it's like everyone wants you to just basically execute people left and right and demonstrate your power. But the Sith Warrior, if you play it light side, you kind of are a bit more intelligent than that. And you're like, well, I don't have to kill people, but I can kind of get them to befriend me and use them in that way. So you still can be light side and be like competitive in these power struggles, and not just have to kill people left and right, which I thought was really interesting. So as a Sith Warrior, you have this whole drive where you're trying to undercut this other apprentice, and you kind of have this rivalry, and then eventually you become an apprentice to I forget the name of the Darth, but this one Darth takes you as his apprentice, and that's kind of when I stopped playing, because I didn't want to get too far. And so it has this very interesting feel where you've never approached that basically in anything I've seen in Star Wars, where you actually get to be the Sith, and you are a Sith apprentice to a Darth, and you get to see how that mechanic works, and you actually become attached to your character because you get to kind of change how your character reacts to situations and choose, am I going to execute this guy? Am I going to spare him? Will I execute this prisoner, or will I try to take them and turn them into an Imperial agent and give them over to the agency? Meanwhile, the Sith Inquisitor's quest line is more about uncovering these artifacts and using that to go up in the Order of the Sith, because as a Sith Inquisitor, what I thought was really interesting is you start off as you were a slave, but you showed enough potential in the Force that the Sith took you. So everyone hates you. Everyone thinks you're going to fail if you're a Sith Inquisitor, but you can play it where I played him as like just completely evil, because I thought, well, if he's going to be he used to be a slave, but he's demonstrated his power, so he understands the Sith concept of, I have power, and I can use that power to get myself higher up. So he just like berates everyone he meets. He'll kill people if he can, if he's given the option to. And it's just a completely different dynamic if you're playing a different class. Okay. And I thought it was very interesting. And I think while there are a lot of complaints online of it basically being a World of Warcraft clone, one that's kind of ignorant, because it's an MMORPG, and they have kind of been the same general style since like Ultima Online, which is basically the first one. So they haven't tried to innovate the basic concepts, and all of the combat and the interface is all very fluid because it does borrow heavily from World of Warcraft. But the story and the voice acting and it being attached to your character brings a whole nother element to it.
Well, I was going to say, just having story and voice acting alone is a huge difference.
Yeah, it just brings context to the situation. It makes you like. I played World of Warcraft up to like I had a level like 70 Death Knight, and I had like a level 55 Hunter before I stopped playing like a year ago. And have like kind of minor attraction to those characters. I'm kind of attached to them because I played with them for so long. But I almost want to play. I'm really sad because my characters got wiped at the end of the beta weekend because you can't keep on using those characters. I almost don't want to play a Jedi Knight anymore. I kind of want to play a Sith Warrior just to see where the story goes. And I got so attached to my character. I'm actually really sad that he got wiped because I really wanted to see what happens with that. Because you also get companion characters, which is new.
Oh, I've heard about that.
In a MMO, where you get these other characters you meet. If you've played a BioWare game, it's very similar to one of those, where you get other people who can come on your journey and you can talk with them. And I loved with the Inquisitor, I didn't like the companion that much because he doesn't have a lot of character. He's this big alien, and basically his characteristic is he doesn't like you and he wants to eat people. It's kind of funny sometimes, but eventually it gets kind of old. But on the Sith Warrior side, your companion is this Twi'lek, who, if you don't know, is like basically, if you've seen Star Wars, they're the people with the head tails and the green and blue. She's a blue Twi'lek who got captured, and she was a slave, and then you kind of free her, and she helps you on your quest. And so you since I was a good guy, I was like, you always have these options to flirt with people if you like talking with people of the opposite sex, and I always choose that, even if like doesn't fit the character, just because I'm like, sure, flirt. Let's see what happens with that. And all the ladies love you. If you want to play a very flirty character, you can do that. Nice. But you have this Twi'lek that follows you around called Vet, and I really like her because one, she has the same voice actress as a blue Twi'lek you have in Knights of the Old Republic called Mission, and she has kind of a similar. I think she is supposed to be a descendant of her. I never got far enough to find out, but I kind of get that hint because it's the same voice actress and she's the same species.
Yeah,
but she has this very interesting character, and I also was kind of sad I had to stop because I didn't get to figure out more about her character and learn more of her backstory. So
you'll be able to play that again, though, right?
Yeah, I'll be able to once the game comes out. But then but now I still want to play Jedi Knight because
you haven't tried that yet.
And I mostly want to be on the Republic side. I don't generally like an RPGs anymore. I used to play the evil character all the time because I was like 12, and that's what you do when you're 12. But now it's like I kind of prefer being on the good side and not being kind of in this like to have this feeling of oppression on you always because it can just get really dark.
It is a game.
But it's an RPG, so I kind of commit myself to RPGs because that's how it's supposed to be fun. It's a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I know you don't play as many role-playing games, so it's like...
No, but when I do, I play the bad guy.
Yeah, but it's like, for me, it's like, you know, you can do some fucked up shit. Like, in Knights of the Old Republic, I had a dark side choice where there was kind of this Romeo and Juliet situation between feuding families, and I manipulate... Where it's like, if you're a good guy... You basically solve the situation. The two lovers can go off together, and then the family feud ends. It's like, yay, everyone's happy. If you're evil, you can manipulate the situation where it would end peacefully, but you manipulate people through the Force and get like one of the fathers shoots the other guy's daughter while there's like this huge confrontation. Both of the fathers and then their son, and one of them has a daughter, and then they have a bunch of battle droids. So the father shoots the daughter of the one guy. That guy shoots the son of the other guy. Then the one father shoots that guy. The war droids shoot that guy, and then the war droids kill each other, and everyone is dead. And I'm standing there, I'm like, oh my god, what did I just do? I just killed like these two people who were in love, and these two fathers who obviously cared about their kids so much. It's like, what the fuck just happened? And that's why I don't play dark side people. Because BioWare, if you want to be fucking evil, they will let you be fucking evil.
Okay, good. I want to play... I have Knights of the Old Republic on this computer. Can you show me how to play it? Because I can't figure it out.
Yes, Jonathan.
Okay. We'll do that later. That could make an entertaining podcast in and of itself. What's the B button? Anyway, let's see.
Open your backpack.
Can you tell me how the gameplay is in Old Republic?
So I'm like kind of the combat.
Okay.
Like...
Yeah.
Basically, okay, so...
I mean, moving around, I get it. You use arrow keys and you move, whatever.
I'll use the WASD keys.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, you're a total noob. So if you're a total noob at MMOs, here we go. This is a crash course.
Well, let me start there though. Do you think total noobs at MMOs would enjoy Old Republic?
Yeah, you can, because the story will hook you enough that you can get into it that way, I think, and that you might want to. I'm not sure if it did. I don't know how, because once again, I was in beta, so some stuff might not have been implemented yet. So I'm not sure. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of tutorial type stuff. Like there's you could figure it out within the game because this window pops up that answers a whole bunch of stuff. But I didn't look too deep into it, and it didn't seem like when you land on the planet, nobody tells you, press W to go forward, and
right. And I know
on this enemy.
Yeah, the only thing was in Warcraft, I start that, and you've got 30 empty inventory things on the bottom, and all this text, and it was a little overwhelming because it didn't tell me what to do with it.
I think it works pretty better in the Old Republic, just because I think you'll kind of figure stuff out just because it starts very simply. It's basically you'll have two attacks. I mean, you have. If basically the attacks are assigned to a bar at the bottom of the screen, that's your hotkey bar, and so default your one key will do your default attack, and then your second key will do another attack. So say I'll do the Sith Inquisitor as an example. So your first key does basic sword attack, and then your second key does a shock that shoots lightning at people.
And you hotkey to that to a part of the keyboard or something?
Yeah, it auto default to your 1 through 9. Actually, it does 1 through 9, then 0, then dash and equals.
Okay.
So it does all of those, and then you can, once you learn the system, you can reconfigure and move stuff around how you like it. Because I have it, you can rebind it to different keys. So I'll have the shock on F, so I can quickly press F and not. Because eventually you'll have enough abilities that 1 through 9 will not be enough. So basically, you just walk up to an enemy character, left click on them to select them, and if you're far enough away for the Sith Inquisitor, you'll see you can use your shock attack. And so you press 2, use your shock attack, and then the thing will come over and attack you. Then you press 1 to do your close range attack. Okay. The combat's very simple, especially early on. Eventually, you will get a shit ton of abilities, and it'll be kind of overwhelming at first until you kind of get the hang of it. But I don't think it's particularly. You just kind of have to stick with it for a little bit. Maybe look at stuff online if you're kind of struggling.
And how much is this one? You have to pay for it every month?
Yeah, I do believe it has a monthly fee for now. I don't know quite how expensive it is yet.
Okay.
Not even sure if they've announced how much it costs.
But, so we've talked about pretty much everything. What's your sort of overall impression?
Well, I absolutely fell in love with the game. I had a great time. I should confess, I really loved World of Warcraft, and so it being similar did not bother me. If you played a lot of World of Warcraft and you got completely tired of it, this might not change your mind. I would give it a shot just because the story elements are really good. I would try out, if you choose a class and you don't like the class that much and you don't like the story that much, I would try a few more. Try to pick because I think it's almost more important to pick the story you want and the basic character you want rather than the class type you want. So don't pick an Imperial agent because you want to be a ranged DPS character that does a lot of damage. Pick an Imperial agent because you kind of like that story, that style of story of you being a spy and being behind enemy lines.
Okay.
So I think it definitely, there's a lot from me that I personally loved because it's it mixed two genres that I love a lot: the single player BioWare story-driven RPG, and then the massively multiplayer online aspects. And I didn't even do that much multiplayer type stuff. I did play one dungeon, which was it's called the Black Talon for the Empire, and that was very interesting because it's basically you group up with other people, and what's really cool is you have the dialogue system where you'll pick an option on what you want to say at a certain point of the story, and then other people will pick what they want to say, and by a random roll, whoever gets the highest number wins. And so they kind of get to decide where the story goes. Okay. And so it's this it's really cool because I got into the dungeon, the Flashpoint, with two other people, and I was my Sith warrior, then there was a Sith Inquisitor, and then there was a bounty hunter. And so I kind of got to see what those characters were like by seeing what dialogue they picked and their voice actors and what their characters were. So it was really interesting that way. Okay. It's kind of a completely new experience.
Huh. That's cool.
So I think I don't know about what options there will be upon release, but if not right at the beginning, very quickly after release, I'm sure there will be a free trial. So I would recommend, if you are at all interested, taking a look at it.
I assume you don't have to buy the disc, right?
Yeah, no, I have it I pre-ordered it digitally and downloaded it digitally, so.
Cool.
And also as a beta, I mean, it is pretty close to release, but even then, the beta build generally is pretty far behind the actual build that the team is working on, and it was
Right.
really impressively stable. I only ran into a few bugs, so well, it's looking good for launch. I think there's a lot of content there to keep people happy until they start pumping out expansions. Since I didn't get to go too far, I don't know about what happens once you hit the level cap and how they're going to entice you to keep coming back.
Okay.
But we'll see how. I really
There's not
hope
all those classes to do, so
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah, like I'm the kind of guy who I play mostly for the questing and the leveling up experience rather than the end game after the level cap. So it'll definitely keep me enticed, and I really hope the game that BioWare is able to keep the game alive and keep it going, because I really want to see how this game grows. And I'm really interested in seeing what it'll be like once you hit the level cap, and then you having an expansion come out, and then having more story that way, and it being able to continue like that. I think that'll be really interesting. So I really hope the game gets off the ground. If you sound interested, I would definitely check it out, because I would be really happy if this game gets to have the life it kind of deserves and gets to go on.
Yeah.
Because World of Warcraft has kind of crushed every MMO that's come out since then.
Well, I have a feeling just because of the hype behind it, it'll have a pretty good launch. At least.
Oh yeah, there's
it's
huge. There's like I think something like 3 million pre-orders already. So it's
It'll be
definitely
healthy
queued
for a
up.
little while.
But yeah, the thing with an MMO is it has to have the sustainability for over
Yeah.
time, and most MMOs lose like 75% of their subscribers within a year. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm really optimistic. It's a good game.
Okay.
I hope people check it out.
Well, speaking of good games, I'm now going to talk about Halo Anniversary, Combat Evolved. This is on the Xbox. This is a remake of Halo 1 from 2001. It was for the 10th anniversary of Halo. We did a Halo podcast last month, sort of in celebration of the anniversary and the release of this game. Hadn't played the game yet when we released that podcast, though. And Sean has not played this yet, but I have. So we're basically talking this last portion of the podcast on games one of us have played, but not the other.
Yeah.
But, I mean, here's the thing about Anniversary. And I think it's been a little controversial because of this, but for me, it's exactly what I wanted. If you have played Halo Combat Evolved, you have played this game. They didn't change anything. It is Halo Combat Evolved. It's the same mechanics. It's the same engine. Or not engine, obviously. It's new graphics, but it's, the same controls.
It's the same game engine with like a new graphics engine on top of it.
Yeah, so it's the game you played. And with new graphics. And I actually really thought that was cool, because it felt like I was playing Halo, the Halo I know and love. And that includes the flaws, because yes, you could iron out some of those flaws, but I kind of liked those flaws.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes that game charming. The pistol, that is technically a flaw, but it is the best flaw ever. Why would you want to fix that? And so, but it's brought into 2011. The graphics are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and not just in comparison. They are really good. Maybe not up to like a brand new made game like Halo Reach or something, but they look really good. 343 did a phenomenal job reinterpreting all the graphics from Halo 1, and the really cool thing is, at any time, you can hit the back button, and it'll switch back to the original graphics engine. This takes a couple seconds to do, understandably so, but and so don't do it in a firefight, you'll die. It doesn't pause the game or anything, which is kind of weird. But it's so fun to just go around looking at everything, and it took me a lot longer to beat the game than it normally would, because I just was walking around looking at all the new graphics and comparing it to the old stuff. One of the best examples is on the level Truth and Reconciliation, level 3. The beginning part, before you get to the ship, you're basically in nature. You're on these cliffs and everything. And in the original game, that's totally barren. It's just brown everywhere.
It's like a desert.
Now there's grass and there's light and there's sky and everything, and it looks really gorgeous. And I really liked that choice. And there are little choices throughout that may have irked me only because, of the purist in me. Like the doors on the Truth and Reconciliation, all the doors are really different. And it just bothered me because those doors, because of how much time you spend on that ship, are like ingrained in my head, and now they look different. They don't, how they like slid open to the left?
Yeah.
Now they open like from the middle in like 4 directions, so it's a little weird.
Well, I think they do that, where they had like the doors where it's kind of like says like this, and then like it opens like down, and then like these things go to the left and right.
No, they were just sort of this 2-paneled slide. One slides in, and then the other slides. I can show you. I just played it.
Okay.
I can show you. Anyway, but it's really
fun.
fun.
Might be thinking of doors from a different Halo game.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really fun to play. I like that they've updated they've brought this just to be in line graphically with Halo 3. That's what I would say. So all the like character models and stuff, well, except the Chief. The Chief looks like Halo 1 Chief, which is fun. Mm-hmm. But, Johnson and all the aliens and stuff, they look like you would recognize them from Halo 3, particularly the Flood. And I think that's a good idea. The cutscenes are, again, in the 2.4 to 1 aspect ratio as they were in Halo 3, for instance. And they look very, very good in with these new graphics. So, it's the game you played. It's got a new sheen to it. It looks great. It looks, it's in widescreen now. It wasn't in widescreen before. High definition, all of this stuff. So, and that's what I wanted. I love this game. I love to keep playing it over the years, and now it's updated so you can keep playing it easily without having to worry about, maybe the next Xbox in the next couple of years won't have emulators for Xbox One. Well, now we've got this 360 version. It's got achievements, and I really love the achievements in this game. I don't usually have this much fun doing achievements, but they're all really fun, and I feel like they're balanced. Like, none of them are impossibly hard, or ones where you're like, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time on this. It's or maybe you will, but it's not like, how the hell am I going to do that? It's stuff like where you think, I think I know how to do that, and you experiment, and it's really fun. Some of them are really difficult, but not throw your controller at the wall difficult. Like, there's one on the Silent Cartographer where once you hit the map, you can't fire another shot for the rest of that level. Oh, on Legendary, too, I think, something like that. Geez. And it's a bitch, but it's fun. Like, trying to figure out, all right, I've got 2 grenades, what am I going to do? And there's all the skulls to find. There's a really fun skull in this one called Bandana, which gives you infinite ammo. That would make the Silent Cartographer achievement I was just talking about easy because you would have a bunch of grenades. But I didn't do that with that skull on because I hadn't gotten that skull yet. You get it later in the game. But anyway, so there's also terminals to find which have video, and it's basically the 343 Guilty Spark narrating stuff. And the terminals didn't really hold my interest except for a couple of them, because he talks in riddles, and it's like, well, I don't know what any of this means. But
riddle me this, Master Chief.
Yeah, he's the Riddler. But anyway, great game. The 2 achievements I don't know how I'm going to do are on the library. Finish the library in 30 minutes on Legendary.
Jesus.
And let's see, what's the other one? Finish the Maw on Legendary with a minute left on the countdown.
I think I can probably do that one.
Okay. Cool. But anyway, so fun game. It's it's $40. I think it was totally worth the $40. Especially because you also get 6 new multiplayer maps and a new firefight map. The firefight map is really fun. It's from the level Halo. It's one of the Forerunner structures.
Yeah, isn't it? Because I've seen a lot of the stuff. Isn't it basically at the very end of the Halo where the Pelican comes in if you win the mission?
Yeah.
Doesn't it have like little ODST guys help you out too?
Yeah, that's fun. And the remakes of the old levels look great. Headlong, I played on that, is really fun again. That's from Halo 2. The rest are from Halo 1. The remake of Hang 'em High is really cool. No, was it called Hang 'em High?
Yeah. Now
the
it's
remake,
High Noon.
Yeah, High Noon. Really cool remake of that. Anyway, on the disc, the one weird thing is that if you'll remember the ODST game, which was basically an expansion pack, had the campaign on one disc, and the second disc was just all the Halo 3 multiplayer with the new maps. And it had all the other map packs too. Well, this doesn't work this way. It's all on one disc, and the multiplayer just has those 7 maps, those new ones, and it has special game types that are for Halo Anniversary. Like, you've got like Classic, where they've amped up the strength of the pistol. In fact, no, I think in all the game types the pistol is amped up to be like the Halo 1 pistol, which is fun. So it's it's just sort of a rough recreation of the Anniversary, but there are Reach achievements associated with this. I think there's another 250 gamer score that you can get now.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. But they're in the game also, though. This is the fun part, or the cool part, is that if you open up your game package, there's an insert, and you can download. It's a code to download those 7 maps into Halo Reach, so you can have them in both places.
Cool.
And that's what's cool. Is I feel like you're getting a $20 map pack in 2 places, and you're getting a remake of a game that's easily worth $20, I would say.
Yeah.
So especially with 4-player online co-op and achievements and all that. So, good deal. I like it. I think some people, again, have bitched about how they didn't change anything. In fact, the IGN review was hilarious. I don't know if you read it. It was like one of those 2-page IGN reviews. The first page is talking about campaign, and they're saying, it's good, but they didn't change enough. This game clearly is dated, and they needed to update it. And then on the next page, they said they were mad that this was using the Reach engine for multiplayer, and they were saying, this is not what I remember.
I remember, it was just
was so hypocritical. It was
then also, it's like, I completely endorse the decision to use Reach as multiplayer because they don't want to split the multiplayer environment.
I'm glad they did that.
Half the people going to Anniversary and then half the people still staying on Halo Reach. You keep a consolidated experience.
Yes.
And I think that was a really good idea.
Yeah, it was a good idea. And I think that was done by, who did the map pack? Certain Affinity? Yeah. And they did a great job with it. So anyway, that's Halo Anniversary. Do you want to talk about Skyrim now?
Sure. I'll also talk about Skyrim a little bit. So instead of... I will get Anniversary eventually, but Skyrim came out, and then I got into the beta, so it's like... I've kind of had my hands full as far as gaming is
I
concerned.
understand, because Skyrim is a pretty big game. It would be hard to play that and another game.
Skyrim is a very big game. It's the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, so this is another game that came out that I've been waiting like 5 years for, so it was pretty exciting for me when I got it. It's like, I get to play Skyrim. It's like, what? I also got into the Old Republic beta. What do I do now? What the fuck? It's like, how do I balance out 2 games I've waited 5 years to play? I somehow managed to do it. Mostly I just played a lot of Skyrim over Thanksgiving week. And it's basically, if you've played Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, it's very similar, but they improve on a lot of stuff, particularly the leveling, where every Elder Scrolls game has kind of had a novel leveling concept where you don't level up just by getting kind of random experience points. That just kind of nebulously gives you more power and abilities. It's like you'll get better by using a one-handed sword, and that skill will level up naturally as you use that weapon, or by blocking, or using fireball spells, you'll level up your destruction magic. So it uses that same basic system, but they took out kind of that older, almost kind of D&D-esque system where you would pick individual skills that you would naturally be better at, and that you would have to get better to level up your character and then level up your attributes. Instead, you don't have to pick when you make your character, okay, if I'm going to play basically a knight character, so I want to have, swords, blocking, heavy armor, etc., those abilities, and you're tied into that for the entire game. Now, at any time, you can choose, well, now I just want to level up something else, and it'll be nothing different from that experience. If you want to just start using destruction magic at this point in the game, the magic's not going to be great, but you'll be able to level it up without any hindrance to it like it was before. So I think it's a much more accessible version of the Elder Scrolls games, which has kind of been a pattern since Morrowind. They've been progressively more accessible for new people coming into the franchise, where you don't have to spend like 30 minutes looking at the instruction manual trying to decide what your character is going to be. You can just jump in and play the way you want to play. And the game,
that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and the game is so big, it's almost diabolically huge, because I've barely even scratched like the main quest line. And I've explored this game more than... I don't know what it is about Skyrim particularly. I think it might be the graphics, which are absolutely beautiful. I can't say enough about how nice Skyrim looks, especially in motion. There's like a lot of really subtle graphical stuff, and Skyrim just looks absolutely beautiful. But for the longest time, I didn't even go to like any of their... There's like, I think 9 major like hub cities, or holds as they're called in Skyrim.
Yeah.
And I don't think I went to any other one for like the first 2 days I played the game, other than the main one. I was just exploring around that area. And then eventually I was like, okay, I have to go somewhere else in this game, because there's so many quests I just kept on finding. It's like I was just like exploring this one area so in depth. And so now whenever I look at my map, it's like there's like a few little like highlights of where stuff I've explored, and then like in the very center it's like this huge like these like concentric circles of like areas I've explored. This like I have seen like everything in like that like one like half square mile of the map of Skyrim. So there's like there's a lot of content in this game. It's very accessible. It's very easy to get into. If you're not very good at playing video games, you can play this, because it has you can scale the difficulty down as much as you want, so you can make it ungodly easy, where you can kill people in basically 2 hits with a sword, or you can make it impossibly hard, where you have to kill someone with like 1,000 hits with your sword. I generally stick in the middle area of the default setting.
500 hits?
Yeah, just around 500 hits. And so it's definitely, I think, if it's a Bethesda game and it's so huge that there's obviously going to be, it's a fairly buggy game, but that's kind of inevitable. A game this big is going to have several bugs, and some of them are really, really funny. Well, one of the really weird bugs I ran into was that, and I know this is something that recurs a lot in the game, because it happened to me several times, was that in the city of Whitehold, I bought a house just to kind of store a lot of random stuff, and then you can also use it to enchant weapons and stuff like that. Yeah. And so one time I was going into my house, but right before I was going into my house, some random person on the street started saying something to me, and so I opened the door to my house, and then the guy went into the house, like it kind of loads into the house, and the guy was in the house with me, finished what he was saying, and then walked out the door. I'm like, what the fuck? And so then a few other times the same thing happened, where I guess if someone's talking to you, it prioritizes that dialogue, so the person will follow you into the building, even if it's your own house, and then as soon as they're done saying, they're like, well, I'm out of here, and they leave. It's a really weird bug. Another really hilarious bug I ran into was that there's these kind of roving packs of giants who herd mammoths around, which is one of the coolest things fucking ever. And so they're these big giants with huge clubs. and if you get too close or you try to fuck with their mammoths, they'll kill you. But one time, I was just kind of... I think I got a random quest to kill a giant because there was like a bounty on him. So I was trying to do that, but I was kind of too low level to do that, so he was kicking my ass, and I was running away, Then I ran past this area where there's like a kind of a pack of bears, and so the bears started attacking the giant, because I guess it prioritized the giant over me. And so the giant started fighting the bears, and I turned around and I looked, and the giant just takes his club, lifts it high over his head, hits one of the bears, and the bear just skyrockets. Just shoots into the fucking, like, stratosphere of, like, what the fuck just happened? And the bear's just gone. I have no idea what the fuck happened, because I just got the fuck out of there as soon as I saw that. I'm pretty sure the physics just glitched the fuck out. And he was just gone. That's
awesome.
Yeah, so there's a lot of the game is fairly buggy. I think they're releasing a patch to fix some of them, but some of the bugs are really funny. So if you've played some of the other Elder Scrolls games, you know what you're getting into as far as the...
Well, I've heard there's more problems on PS3, but you know what? That's what you get for playing games on your fucking PS3.
Wow, that's pretty hateful.
I'm just saying, at this point, shouldn't people have kind of learned their lesson? Like, why are you expecting anything of the PlayStation 3 at this point?
Wow.
At all.
You're very, very... Wow. I have personally nothing against the PS3. I personally prefer the 360, but...
Yeah, 360 doesn't, explode when you put a game in. That doesn't happen to the PS3. Yeah, literally, but anyway.
Okay.
I feel bad for all the people playing Skyrim on the PS3. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean...
Being a dick, I'm sorry.
There's no reason that your preference of console should cause you to have a more buggy game. We here at the Monthly Stuff Podcast apologize.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. All right. Any other games we want to talk about?
Did you play Sonic Generations?
Oh, yes, I did. Sonic Generations is fabulous. I really
also played Sonic Generations.
Oh, you did?
I also agree it was fabulous. I played it on my birthday.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Sean. I forgot to wish you a happy birthday.
November 23rd, so it's kind of late. So
I'm sorry.
You can go fuck yourself. Oh. Anyway, so Sonic Generations.
Why do you say go fuck yourself when I wish you a happy birthday?
Because you didn't when it was my birthday.
We weren't. I didn't see you on your birthday. So. I'm sorry, Sean. Anyway, do you like Sonic Generations?
I really love Sonic Generations.
I thought it was fantastic. Really yeah. I don't think I've had that feeling playing a Sonic game since I played my first Sonic game, which was Sonic Adventure 2.
It sounds like my first Sonic game.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like when you first play Sonic, and even if it's a bad... I first played Sonic when the games were still pretty good, and that was Sonic Adventure 2. And, they went downhill from there. But anyway, and that sort of sense of, wow, you're going so fast, and there's all... these environments are so cool. It was just... Sonic is... There's a certain thing that distinguishes Sonic from other platformers and whatnot. And this felt like... This is going to be cheesy, but playing Sonic for the first time. And it was just like that sense of wow and discovery, and this is amazing. And I just remember I got to the end of the Green Hill Zone Act 2 with Modern Sonic, and I was like, this game kicks ass. So... but let's talk more about... I loved all the levels. The last section of the game, the last 3 levels, I liked the least only because I think they're from the weakest games.
Yeah, especially, I think, I really didn't like Crisis City.
Yeah, I didn't. That was broken.
Yeah, that was like... And the original game was broken so that was a good transfer. That was a very good transfer of the game. Well, and then also, I didn't like... Actually, I think the last... I definitely know the last level. That was from, like, Sonic Colors, and I never played that one. Yeah. I didn't particularly like that one that much. Just because I had no idea. Like, there was, the power-ups, and I was like, what the fuck? Alien power? What the fuck is this shit?
I wish they would have gone back and done more levels from older games.
Yeah, especially they didn't have anyone from Sonic 3. They had one from Sonic and Knuckles, the very last one. I was really disappointed that
the final boss is
the final boss
shit.
was awful. It's just like, oh...
I didn't even know how to be. It was like, what are you doing? What do I do?
Yeah, it didn't explain it. It's like, because you have that attack where you can just throw the other supersonic. It's like, that attack's useless. Don't even bother with that. Just burst at him. Yeah. Just hold, I think it was like, hold down the A button until you get close to the
But those are our only complaints, I think, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, so I just had a ton of fun. If you don't know the premise, you've got the classic Sonic and the modern Sonic. There's like a weird time vortex thing. And so there's 2 versions of every level, and each level is from old Sonic games. And what's really cool is that with the, it's like you're seeing if you're a Sonic fan, you're familiar with one version of the level, but not the other. So for the early games, you're playing the classic Sonic, and it's like, this is a great recreation of classic Sonic. It looks great, it plays great. And then you go to modern Sonic, and it's so inventive how they would do this for now, 3D over-the-shoulder view. It's just brilliant. Loved it. And then when you get to the modern Sonic games, like Sonic Adventure 2 with City Escape, this is the City Escape I know and love. This is awesome. And then you see the classic and how they've reimagined that for 2D side-scrolling is brilliant. And it's just the whole game was like that. And I had so much fun playing it. It's a little short, but there's all sorts of challenges and stuff to do that make up for that, I think.
I agree.
The boss battles are, except for that last one, fantastic.
I really like, although I really like how they did the, I think it was the first boss you fight is it's the end boss from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is also the end boss from Sonic 4 Episode 1. But ironically enough, Sonic Generations actually did it better, where they actually redid the boss and added a new element to it where it was kind of 3D. So it was like fighting a new boss. The same basic premise was the end boss of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, unlike Sonic 4 Episode 1, which was just the end boss from Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah. The gameplay is flawless. The graphics are beautiful. The music is great.
I love hearing all the different remixes.
Yeah.
For the because like you said, for the classic ones, it's basically the same. But then when you get to the modern version, it'll be a real modern version of that song, or the opposite when you get to the newer game.
Yeah. This is just very polished, really well done. It's a labor of love, very clearly. Mm-hmm. I loved every minute of this, except for the ones we talked about earlier. I had so much fun playing this game. Totally worth the money. Really fun.
Especially if you're a fan of Sonic, this is definitely a one to pick up. Although, one thing I do kind of like that they have the classic Sonic doesn't talk like at all.
Yeah,
but I kind of wish that they had just gotten Jaleel White to do the voice of classic
Sonic. That would have been so awesome.
That would have been...
Because they had the chili dog joke.
Yeah.
So why not? Yeah.
I thought it was weird that modern Sonic was liking chili dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing now. I know that there was like a new Sonic cartoon and all that.
It's not... I know it wasn't in Sonic X, because I saw some of that, and he never eats chili dogs in it. But anyway, about the voice acting, I thought the English was so terrible. After one cutscene, I switched it to Japanese. I was done. I was not listening to that.
But it was really aware that it was really bad.
Okay.
So because there was, especially when you get to it's one of the it's the B sidekick that's nobody gives a shit about from Knuckles Chaotix.
Yeah.
And
Charmy B.
Yeah, that's. It's and there's this line where he's you free, because when you're playing through them, you free one the random other side characters each time. So it's you'll get Tails and then Knuckles and then Amy and then Rouge, and then they run out of ideas, so they go to their really obscure characters. And so, but then eventually you free Charmy B, and he jumps up in the air, is I'm a freebie, a freebie, a freebie, and you're oh my god. And then Sonic is oh my god, and yeah, the game knows. It's
okay.
So it's the game knows how how really cheesy a lot of the voice acting is and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sonic has an awesome voice in Japanese. Have you ever heard it?
No.
He's got a badass voice. It's kind of funny, and so does Knuckles. Anyway, but that's besides the point. Great game. Totally recommend it. And I do like a game that you can just finish in a day or two and just have fun with it, Because, games like Skyrim have their place where you will play them for years, and games like Sonic have their place where you can play it once and, you can revisit it too. And I feel this game will hold up. And I would like to see a sequel with maybe some more levels done like this. That would be kind of cool. But more importantly, I would like them to take everything they learned making this game and do something new and just really get Sonic back on track and keep this, because they've had a couple of sort of semi-revivals and then they followed up with total shit. Yeah. So, they did Sonic Colors last year, which was a fairly good game. This is much better. So they've got a sort of a streak going. I hope they can keep it up.
That's pretty
good.
good.
Yeah. So it's better than fucking Sonic the Hedgehog 06 and Sonic Unleashed, where he's a fucking werewolf. And
Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 was where I was no.
And Shadow the Hedgehog, where he's firing a gun and it's a third-person shooter.
Never tried that.
No, it's terrible.
But Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, that game was broken. That was one of the least worst games I've ever played. Where it wasn't even finished. It was I remember you would talk to people, and you'd go up and you'd talk to them, and then it would go into the loading screen, and then you're actually talking to them.
I remember that. That was
terrible. And then it goes into a loading screen, and then it has your mission objectives, and then you accept, and then it goes to a loading screen. You go to your mission. It's not the loading screen's a second or two. It's a 30-second loading screen each time. You're oh my god, I don't want to play more missions.
Oh, and I think I've repressed those memories. It was so terrible. But you know what? I think I read a report. I don't know if I can find the link now. But when the Xbox, they released the new Xbox Experience dashboard a few years ago, remember? And they have, now you can install games.
Yeah.
And they did all those reports of if this boost speed. I think the one everyone was interested in is, would it boost speed for Sonic 06? Because that was such a slow fucking game. And I think it slowed it down, was the whole thing people discovered, was it made the loading even slower.
Like, you can't even play the game.
Yeah.
No, so that you get into a conversation, then you never get out.
Yeah. That game was unplayable. Fuck that game. Anyway, Sonic Unleashed pissed me off, too, because when you were just regular Sonic in Sonic Unleashed, it was kind of like Generations, not as good, but it was fine. And then you would be Werewolf Sonic. And you're moving like an inch a minute. You're going so slowly, and it's a beat 'em up, and you just mash buttons. And I didn't make it past like the half-hour mark.
Yeah, it's just like they just kind of got into this weird thing where it's like each game had to have this like weird gimmick to it.
Oh well, Sonic and the Secret Rings for the Wii. There's one that was broken. It was motion controls. And it was like you would tilt the controller to move Sonic, and you couldn't control the speed or anything. And this is a platforming game. It was unplayable. God, it had one song in the whole game that would just play over and over and over again. Sonic Generations is good.
Yeah, Sonic Generations is a very good game.
Yeah.
I think they could have had more classic stages. That's what I would like to see more of.
But,
But I do understand that they wanted to spread it out, because there's just like some of the Sonic games just weren't good.
No. Oh, well. Great game.
I much would have rather had Hydro City from Sonic 3 than Crisis City from Sonic 06.
I agree. But I had a ton of fun playing this game. That's what matters in the end. So, really quick, I'm going to talk about Modern Warfare 3. As I said before, it is Call of Duty. And I don't know why anyone's expecting Call of Duty to change at this point. It's Call of Duty. I like Call of Duty. I'm enjoying the game.
I have full disclosure, I haven't played the game. I don't really have any interest.
Don't spoil anything. I haven't played much.
Oh, I don't know any of the story.
Okay.
I'm saying, from what I saw, because I was just like watching stuff when it came out, like video reviews, and like it just kind of seemed like they're not even trying to pretend like they're doing something new anymore.
They're not.
It's like the UI is exactly the same. Like the HUD, the screen. It's like that is the Modern Warfare 2 HUD. That is exactly the same. It's like, if I couldn't even tell, I was actually trying to pick out differences just by looking at the screen to see if I could determine if it, like, whether or not I would be seeing Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 footage, and I couldn't fucking do it. It's like, if you sit me down in front of Modern Warfare, I know that's Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare 2, I can definitely tell the distinction. They're similar games, but they look like they have different elements. The HUD is slightly improved. Modern Warfare 3, it looked exactly the same. And then I've also just read...
They've toned down the blood when you get splattered, like when you're dying. I will say that. From Modern Warfare 2, where it was like a ton.
Yeah, and it was like this really weird Kool-Aid looking blood.
Yeah, it's the same kind of Kool-Aid blood, but it's not as much. So.
Although then I also did read this really funny review, and I have no idea if it's actually accurate, but the guy seemed like it was pretty accurate, where the guy was talking about how it's Modern Warfare 3 isn't a game, it's an un-game. It's like you don't really have any choice in what goes on. And he showed this video of him. He's like kind of in this firefight, and then he kills everyone. And he's kind of looking around. And it's like, okay, what's going on? Why are my guys moving? There's like nothing going on here. It's like there's nothing. Okay, and then he kind of moves forward, and then it triggers like this event. He's like, okay, well that's kind of interesting. And then moves forward a little more, gets into another firefight. Ends the firefight. Then nothing's going on, and none of his teammates are doing anything. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Moves forward, triggers another like kind of like obvious like event that's supposed to be a set piece, and it was just like doing that over and over again.
I haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed like it's moved away where it's kind of more of a giant set piece now, of just like an action set piece instead of it being a real like game.
And let me talk about the content of the game, because gameplay wise, it's Call of Duty. However, the campaign so far, I'm really loving. I think I played like the first act, and then I got Halo, so I haven't played it since. I'm going to get back into it. And those first couple levels were fantastic Call of Duty levels. The opening is a set piece in New York City where you're fighting through basically war-torn New York, and it was really amazing, the way they imagined all this. And then you get onto these submarines, and you have to, ride this boat as submarines are having nuclear explosions and stuff. It's ridiculous, but it's very fun. There's a level on a plane that is basically a full, fleshed-out version of Mile High Club from Modern Warfare 1, and it is one of my favorite Call of Duty levels ever. It's really good. The multiplayer, the maps are fine. They don't hold my interest. And I know Call of Duty maps have always been kind of boring. Mm-hmm. These seem especially boring, but as I understand it, there's like 16 on the disc, and I've only played 2 or 3, so I'll hold judgment on that. But you know, the multiplayer's good. It's fun. Whatever. It's Call of Duty multiplayer. Whatever. You know, I only got Modern Warfare 3 because I got it for free.
How'd you get it for free?
I'll tell you. Best Buy had a promotion where if you traded in games towards Modern Warfare 3, they'd give you an extra 50% trade-in. And Best Buy already gives pretty good trade-in values. So I just traded in some old games, including some Call of Duty, stuff that I'm not playing, and I got $60.
She was just like, I'm going to give you Modern Warfare 2, and you'll give me Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
So you could have just given me Modern Warfare 2 back. That would be fine. But
Okay. No, I traded in, I think, World at War and Call of Duty 2. And,
trade in Call of Duty 2? I like Call of Duty 2.
This game's old.
So?
I can get it on Games on Demand if I want.
But you already had it.
Sorry.
Call of Duty 2 is a good one.
Okay. Anyway, so I got exactly $60 in trade-in credit, so I just had to pay for tax.
Nice.
Yeah. Except, in fact, I don't think I had to pay for tax, because with a gift card, you don't have to pay tax. So, yeah. So, free Call of Duty, yay!
Yeah.
So, Call of Duty's good. Yeah, again, if you've lost interest, I completely understand. Like, Sean, I'm not going to get into an argument with you about it. I completely understand. I sort of have to a point, too. It's just, I liked the other two Modern Warfares, and I sort of wanted to see if they would do a satisfying end to the story. And so far, the story's fine. It's in its Call of Duty fashion. There's not cutscenes or anything, you know. But you get lots of Captain Price, and he's neat. So, yeah. Although, one of the ongoing jokes in Modern Warfare is that your character dies all the fucking time now in 2. I thought the game started with your character dying, or I thought they were going to do that. So, like, the first cutscene, you're in New York, and you're flying in on a helicopter, and the helicopter gets hit, and you go down, like, oh, and this is a new character you've never played as. It's a new Marine. And I'm like, are they like joking about the series, legacy of killing characters? Like in the first cutscene, you die and you crawl out of it. But that's what was my reaction. I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break. But yeah. Although, as I've played 3 levels, a playable character has already died. 3 levels. So
I was just like, at this point, it's like they need to stop making them every year. It's
I completely agree.
Because we're on, what the fuck are we
this
on?
Is
like
8.
We're on Call of Duty 8.
Yeah.
It's like they made that brilliant choice where they decided to stop numbering like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and then they did Modern Warfare 2. That was brilliant. Because once you get to 6, once you have the number 6, it's like, nope. It's like everyone knows how ridiculous it is once you get to 6.
Well, I feel like Modern Warfare 3 is a good game. If you it's Call of Duty. Call of Duty was good once, it's still good. This is a good platform to leave it on, I would say, until the next generation of consoles. Or maybe one more on the 360.
Yeah, but
2 years or so.
Give it 2 or 3
Give
years.
it 2 or 3 years. Because there's no reason we need more. Modern Warfare 3, they have worked out some of the tweaks from 2 and from the other games. So it is a good, stable version of Call of Duty. You can leave. It's like, Halo Reach. This is the pinnacle. Just leave it, Although I think that they took out the theater mode from Black Ops. So they've kind of taken a step back. But whatever. Who gives a shit. Anyway. So that's Modern Warfare 3. So we've talked about a bunch of games.
Hold on. I'm going to go on right now that I'm never going to buy another Call of Duty game if I find out that it keeps on doing that fucking shit. And I know I've read that Modern Warfare 3 does it too, where it has the infinite spawning enemies thing.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I fucking hate that. It's like all of a sudden every time I play a Call of Duty game, it's 1995 again, and they think it's a good idea that you can't get past a certain point because there's infinite spawning enemies. You have to go to the next checkpoint, and then enemies will stop spawning. That's just lazy fucking game design. It does not make your game better. It makes it unrealistic. It makes it fucking annoying. It makes it ridiculous. It means you can't apply reasonable tactics to any situation, and fucking just stop it already. We learned not to do that shit before Half-Life 1 came out, guys, okay? We just know more infinite spawning enemies.
I completely agree.
Treyarch and Infinity Ward, please listen to this podcast and just stop that shit.
Yeah. Let's start a petition.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Internet petitions always work. Sponsored by the Monthly Stuff Podcast.
All right. This has been your season finale. We've done a whole year of podcasting now. How do you feel, Sean? Have you liked this experience?
Sure.
Yeah.
We've talked about stuff.
We have.
We've had good times. We've had some angry times.
Yeah. I think this is our 20th podcast. That means literally 25% of what we've talked about is Doctor Who, because 5 of those have been Doctor Who. But that's okay.
I think that's a good percent. I think we should maintain that.
Okay, that's good. Although, Doctor Who's not premiering until, like, August, so it's going to be a while. We're going to have to find other things to talk about. Oh, well. Next year, we've got ideas for some topics, and they'll be good, I hope.
But you'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing for January. I would like to do, top 10 films of 2011 to go along with my written list, but I have no other film critics to talk to.
Yeah, and I don't watch so many modern movies, so I
right.
don't think I'd be very good for that list.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thomas did it with me last year because he had seen some of the same movies. I don't think Thomas has seen even 5 movies in a theater.
I mean, we can do that list, and I can just provide color commentary if you want.
Okay, that's okay. We'll see what happens.
I can do top 10 movies based off trailers that I've seen.
I will say, I think we are going to be doing one of our 3 podcast months in March because it's an anniversary of a certain TV show Sean and I both like. And I'm not going to spoil it here, but if you can find out...
Is it Doctor Who? No.
It's the anniversary of Doctor Who is 2013.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
I know what...
We're going to have to do a lot of podcasts.
Doctor Who's anniversary is on my birthday, motherfucker. I know what it is.
I
was making a joke. Yeah, November 23rd.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. You have a good birthday.
Yes.
I was born the same day as Matt Damon, so that's kind of...
Yeah, what do you fucking do?
Sigourney Weaver also, so...
No, that's better.
That's better. Also Chevy Chase.
That's even better.
Yeah,
You're going up.
Yeah.
Don't know why you started with Matt Damon and ended up at Chevy Chase. That's
I'm building to the best. I'm going, although I do think Matt Damon is a pretty fantastic actor.
I like Matt Damon, but he's not Chevy Chase.
January, the All Matt Damon podcast. Matt Damon.
Okay.
Team America? You ever seen it?
Okay. It's one of those movies that people quote way too much.
Okay,
especially that line.
All right.
It's like you can't talk about Matt Damon anymore.
I know.
Every time you say Matt Damon, fuck
right.
you. It's like when you talk about Portal and everyone's like, "Oh, the cake is lies." Yeah.
So I haven't played Portal 1, so I don't know that meme.
Well, sucks for you. Anyways, monthly stuff podcast. Are we editing it now? Do you want to? Should we just keep on? Should we do a Portal list now? You want to do a Portal list?